What was that song in the 80s that we used to sing? I say we. Hands up, baby, hands up, was it?
Yeah.
Hands up. I thought Nottingham Forest were really going to struggle, but after what I saw, listen, it was only Southampton, but from what I saw at the weekend, I think they're in a much better place than I thought they were.
Yeah, it's comprehensive, wasn't it? Should have been 3 really at least. I think with Nuno Espirito Santo, it's important to remember the job he did at Wolves and the team he built over a sustained period. We tend to remember how it finished and what happened at Spurs, but he was an excellent manager for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and given time, he could do a similar job here, I guess. So, yeah, no, I think they're in a better place. I really like the wingers, Langer and Hudson-Odoi. You've obviously got the guile and craft of Morgan Gibbs-White as well. Murillo, one of the best young centre-backs in the league. I think there's a lot to like about Forest this season.
They obviously still want a striker, but they still need a striker. They've got a deal for final striker Santiago Jimenez in the offing, but it's stalling, according to reports, because the player's unsure of a move. They had a £25 million bid rejected for Johan Visa yesterday. Eddie Nketiah didn't want to come. So what's next?
Yeah, I think they could do with somebody, because Awoniyi can't be relied upon, can he, to stay fit? That's the issue. When he plays, I'm always impressed with him. He's such a handful. Chris Wood was lethal last season.
He
did
was
a great job
on Saturday as well.
Yeah, he did a great job, but sometimes he can be a bit sluggish. I think they could do with someone a little bit sprightly at the top end of the pitch, just to protect themselves from the inevitable injuries, to be honest.
Well, obviously Nuno Espirito Santo thinks the same, which is why they're being linked with so many different strikers at this moment in time, and there's a few others that are doing the rounds as well. The City ground is packed. It's full to brimming. It knows the importance of the League Cup to Nottingham Forest. In the 70s and 80s, this trophy was shared predominantly between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. Most things were really at that time. Those memories have faded as the quarter-century exile from the top flight took hold. The club haven't won a major trophy since Stuart Pearce hoisted the Football League Cup at Wembley on the 29th of April 1990. Newcastle's wait has gone on much longer. The Intercity Spares Cup was the forerunner to the UEFA Cup. I think that counts, 1969. If you speak to Bob Moncur, who was the captain at the time, he'll tell you all the stories of what happened afterwards. It meant something, it really did. But if you are demanding domestic silverware, then for Newcastle you have to go back to 1955. After solid, if unspectacular starts, both embark on a journey they hope leads them onto the road to Wembley. Forest in cherry red shirts, white shorts, red socks, captained by Willy Bolly. Newcastle United in the black and white familiar stripes, black shorts and white socks. Kieran Trippier with the armband. And Newcastle will shoot from right to left in the first half. Newcastle will be defending the goal in front of their supporters, and from left to right, Nottingham Forest will attack at the start of the evening. Before we do start, there will be a moment's applause in tribute to the former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson, who sadly passed away on Monday.
His contributions to English football helped shape the game and inspire them.
Right now on Talksport 2, it's West Ham against Bournemouth. All the goals from the 5 other ties, with 8 Premier League teams in action tonight. Southampton already 1-0 up at Cardiff, and Ipswich already 1-0 up in the game against Wimbledon at Plough Lane. But our focus is on two of the big Premier League sides tonight. Nottingham Forest against Newcastle United, and it's live and only on Talksport 2. Sam Allison is our referee. He's about to get us off and underway. And the Mullican tyre rings around the City Ground as it does before every single game at this famous old arena. An arena that has seen so much success, and the honours board is etched on the side of this ground, all the way around the perimeter, all of the trophies that were run, most of them by the great Brian Clough. We should be in for a bit of entertainment if recent meetings are anything to go by. These two have shared 12 goals in their last 3 games, Adrian Clark. And both these teams, I suppose, outside candidates for success. But here's Isaac steaming through to the edge of the penalty area. A right-footed shot. Willock is there, and we have a goal inside 15 seconds at the City Ground. Joe Willock has finished it off just in front of the 6-yard box. Isaac running from halfway, getting his shot away on the edge of the penalty area. Carlos Miguel, on his debut, could only parry into the path of Joe Willock, who was following in, and Nottingham Forest are behind inside 15 seconds of the cup tie.
Remarkable. Newcastle United are not messing around this evening. It was an instant breakaway. They just sliced through the middle of the pitch. It was Sandro Tonali who took the ball first up, then it slipped through to Isak, 1v1. His shot saved by the debutant keeper, and Willock is on the spot. It's a lovely little slip pass from Almiron to put Isak away. He's denied, but Willock just taps into the empty net. We've got ourselves a cup tie.
Well, that's one of the fastest goals in League Cup history, if not the fastest goal in League Cup history. And I think there was one from Morecambe, or against Morecambe, that lasted just 23 seconds, but that is certainly one of the earliest goals in League Cup history. I think it was eventually clocked at around about 13 seconds, but that is unbelievable. What a start for Eddie Howe and his team. And immediately it rocks the City Ground to its foundations.
It does, and what a start for the Nottingham Forest keeper, Carlos Miguel.
Welcome
to English football. Wow, look, he's made a save, but he's spilled it straight to the on-rushing Willock, who wasn't tracked.
I did say as they kicked off, we should be in for some entertainment.
You teed it up beautifully. I didn't need to say anything there, Sam. There's no time anyway.
Ball one on this near side. It's collected by Eric da Silva Moreira into Awonyu, trying to turn past Byrne. He gets into the right channel and twists and tries to fire the ball across the face of goal. It's blocked by Byrne and into the sky, and it comes back out to the near touchline. Hall stops the progress of Eric da Silva Moreno, and then Willock goes steaming forward once again, and Almiron is coming through the centre. Isaac's trying to get on the end of that, and does, and Tonali now gets a shot on goal, and it's stopped by Carlos Miguel. Well, Newcastle could have had 2.
Probably should have had 2. What an opportunity for Tonali. Credit the keeper, Carlos Miguel. He's so quick to come off his line, to narrow the angle. Tonali, obviously, he's lacking match sharpness. Probably if he'd had 2 or 3 games, he might have dinked the keeper there. As it happened, he went straight at him, and the chance went. But there's another key pass made by Alexander Isak. Hasn't scored yet this season, but very prominent in the opening stages here.
Well, he's made a great start, because he was the one who led the charge for Willock's goal after what we think was 13 seconds. We will have to give you an accurate time between now and the end of the first half, but it was an unbelievable, rampant start from Newcastle United. It could be 2-0 up already. They've settled into the game brilliantly.
They have, yeah. They're just flying, aren't they? It's a new shape, isn't it, for Nottingham Forest as well, gone with a back 3 tonight.
Yeah,
it's like Da Silva's playing as wing back, and it's been a real baptism of fire for a lot of these players that haven't had a lot of game time.
Yeah, Zach Abbott is playing on the left of a 3, isn't he? He is a central defender by trade. We thought he might play at right back tonight, but he is playing as one of the central 3. And they've got two wing-backs, and Moreno is one of them, and he's coming forward now on the Forest left. He trots into the penalty area, plays it against Tonali, it pops back up, and then Jota Silva will strike from the edge of the area. It's blocked by the defender, half cleared, and Tonali has sent Isak away again, and it's only just millimetres away from reaching the Swede. But there is an energy, an intensity and a tempo about Newcastle United, which is going to be difficult to live with if they maintain it.
Eddie Howe will be thrilled. And what about Tonali? I mean, this is a guy that you might have... He could have been forgiven, Sam, for taking it easy first five. But there he is, box to box, heavily involved.
Well, that's his major strength, isn't it? Dominguez manages to squirt the ball out for Nottingham Forest to look for revenge. Out to the right-hand side, Jota with the cross towards the far post. Jota Silva's delivery was really good, actually, and Awoniyi got right underneath it and headed it up over the top of the crossbar, and it's out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. We've had 5 breathless minutes here, live on Talksport 2 tonight.
It's all happening. Really, really lively. And Nottingham Forest, it feels as if they've settled. That was a good piece of play from Jota down the right, hung up a nice cross. He just got there too early. Awoniyi, he couldn't control the header.
Well, Carlos Miguel, who conceded after 15 seconds of his debut for Nottingham Forest, made a massive save from Tonali. Tonali went through the middle, and actually it was an outstretched left leg which stopped him from opening his account for the season and capping his return with a goal.
It was a save I couldn't make. He's very flexible there. I mean, I know you could have made it. I haven't seen you skip over the desk here.
Vault, I think.
Well, yeah, it was impressive. I'm trying to praise you here, Stan. But yeah, you might have saved that. I certainly couldn't.
I certainly. He's just a little bit taller than me, I think. He's got a little bit of a longer leg span than I have.
It was kind of a starfish sort of save, wasn't it? He really stretched out the left leg. It was a brilliant stop. I don't think he did a lot wrong, Tonali. Yeah, you can look at it, the way the keeper came flying out. Might he have dinked the keeper? That probably was the percentage play, but it was an excellent save.
Yeah, Adrian's referring to the fact that we are in a new position in the Peter Taylor stand, because they are renovating it from the back coming forward, and we are jammed in amongst so many other broadcasters that I did have to jump over the desk earlier. Lewis Hall has got forward and he sent the ball towards the far edge of the penalty area, and then there's a mistake by Moreno, and Miguel Almiron has picked the ball out of his pocket and recycled it for Newcastle, who've got it back inside opposition territory. 6.5 gone. You're listening to Talksport 2. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle United 1. Live on Talksport tonight. Wolves 1, Burnley 0 is the latest scoreline from Molineux. Wimbledon 0, Ipswich 1. 1-1 between Cardiff and Southampton. Colchester 0, Brentford 0. Swansea 0, Wickham 0. West Ham 0, Bournemouth 0 over on Talksport. And here it's 1-0 to Newcastle. Here is Barnes feeding the ball into the path of Isak. Lovely little bit of skill to take him past Dominguez, who gets back at him and plays it out on this near side and away for a throw-in. Nuno Espirito Santo in his tracksuit tonight, barking instructions to his team. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with the way that they started proceedings. He has made a lot of changes, 10 of them tonight, and there are a few newbies out there.
A lot of newbies. Yeah, they were caught cold, no doubt about it, and now they've got to find a way back into the game.
Given away cheaply by Miguel Almiron. He's given it straight to Awoniyi, who moves up towards the edge of the penalty area and was sort of dithering a little bit, but has played it wide now. The cross into the box goes towards Jota Silva, and it goes over the head of Pope, and it's cleared off the line by Dan Burn, who gets back and scoops it away. That was a good header, that brave header from Jota Silva, who wasn't afraid to throw himself into the thick of the action after the cross from Moreno on that left-hand side.
Well, he was second favourite, wasn't he? He didn't really have any right to get on the end of that. Was it Sosa from the left that clipped the ball in? You thought, well, Pope's got this all day long, but it needed an intervention from Dan Burn off the goal line on the volley to clear the danger there. That was a nervy moment for Newcastle.
Talksport 2 on this Wednesday night. Jota Silva, reverse pass in towards Eric da Silva. Moreira goes down, and Sam Allison waves away any protest for a penalty, and it goes out for the first corner of the game.
Yeah, I think those appeals were faint, really. I don't think that looked a penalty from where I was sat. Jota da Silva started really well.
Oh, you don't want to see this. Isak, who actually went down on the halfway line about a minute and a half ago, he's gone down inside his own penalty area now for another bump off, I think, Eric da Silva Moreira. And they've called the physio on, and the last thing that Newcastle United will want to see is the removal of Alexander Isak at this stage of proceedings. It might be Joe Willock who has ended up needing more attention. Isaac has got back to his feet.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, that'll be a big relief to them. But yeah, Willock does look in trouble. He was the man that made an intervention. He gave the corner away. It was a good tackle actually inside the box.
It might be a dead leg for him.
Yeah, I mean, dead legs you can normally run off. They're really sore, and they can get worse before they get better. But you can kind of run them off, and then you feel it the next day.
Last time I had one, it took me about 6 weeks to run off.
That's an age thing. You know, I know that feeling.
Level of fitness stuff. Yeah, I know, I get it.
But I was about to talk about Jota. Playing at number 10 but making runs into the right hand channel. It's the second run he's made, and he's made an impact.
Oh, he's had such bad luck with injury as Joe Willock. He'll be one that wants to get up to speed. He's probably currently behind Longstaff and the Brazilian duo of Guimarães and Joe Linton, possibly even Tonali in the midfield pecking order, but he has consistently shown his attacking abilities when given the chance. He scored tonight, the opening goal, 18 seconds we're being told it was. I thought it was a little bit less than that actually at the time, but we're being told 18 seconds that it took for Joe Willock to put the ball in the back of the net. And you go back to May 2020 when he burst onto the scene. He scored in 6 consecutive games for Newcastle United. He's the youngest ever Premier League player to do that. If they can unlock his goal scoring potential, he is a major weapon for them. He's come off on this near touchline, and he's going to have to stay off as we wait this corner, which will be dripped in from this near side. It's going to be sent in by Ramon Sosa, another new signing, right-footed in towards the penalty spot. It's clipped away by Joel Linton. Comes out to Moreno, strikes it first time, hits Trippier, and it's cleared away. And now the break is on, and Barnes is leading the charge. And was he tripped there as he pushed the ball forward? Did he feel contact? He can't believe he isn't getting a foul for that. And Sosa's being applauded as if he won the ball cleanly. What was your view?
Well, it was a tight call, so I couldn't tell from where we're sat, so I think the referee made the right call.
Well, the linesman was closer to it, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was good defending from Sosa, actually. I'll tell you who was bursting through the middle. It was Tonali yet again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been saving up that energy, hasn't he? He's been storing it for 10 months.
Yeah, there's a bit of frustration there that's coming out, and he's ready to unleash it this evening at the City Ground, isn't he? Here is Awonyi, who might have a bit of the same. Covered by Kraft, who moves across his body, takes it off his toes and nudges it out on this near side and away for a throw as Nottingham Forest surge forward once again. It is a bit end-to-end, the opening 11 minutes of this game. We've had a lot of attacking play at both ends of the pitch. Nottingham Forest trying to get back into it after Newcastle took a really early lead. Jota Silva has certainly been at the heart of the attacking enterprise that Nottingham Forest have shown so far. They have a throw-in from this near side, and Eric da Silva Moreira will launch it in, a long throw from the right side in toward Awonyi, who's beaten in the air by Joel Linton, and it's hooked clear by Miguel Almiron towards the halfway line.
Yeah, they've settled into it now, Nottingham Forest. Starting to get their key attacking midfielders into the game. You know, I was looking forward to seeing guys like Jota Silva, Sosa, been brought in for good money. But because Elanga and Hudson-Odoi have been so impressive, Morgan Gibbs-White, they've struggled to really be involved on a match day in the Premier League. So it's a big night for these chaps tonight.
Yeah, not very often you get two Paraguayans on the same pitch for two Premier League teams, but we've got Almiron and Sosa on there tonight. Here is Eric da Silva Moreira down the right side, jinking in on to his left foot, coming infield, looking for Jota Silva, but one of those Paraguayans, Miguel Almiron, was alert to the danger. Not only did he pinch the ball, he then ran into traffic and won a free kick, and he's got it now in the dead centre of the Newcastle United half. And he is on the green grass, crumpled, and waiting for the free kick to be taken. So we played 13 minutes. It's been non-stop and frantic, and unfortunately Newcastle United are going to have to make an early change here. It doesn't look like Joe Willock is going to be able to continue, and that's sad for him.
Very sad. Yeah, look, he's made an impact with the goal, but it's not going to end early here, which is really disappointing. It does mean Bruno Guimarães is about to come on, so it's not going to weaken Newcastle United, but obviously Eddie Howe left him on the bench for a reason, was hoping to give him a breather, and that's now going to be denied. But yeah, let's hope that that's just an impact injury that won't keep Joe Willock out for long, because I like the player, I really do. I watched him come through the ranks at Arsenal, and he made a good impact. He's so athletic, he's tall, rangy, can finish, and I think he's tailor-made for Eddie Howe's Newcastle United, but they're going to have to do without him now.
Yeah, this is the first change after just 14 minutes then. And off comes Willock, and on comes Bruno Guimaraes, and he looks to the heavens. His shirt is pulled up right under his armpits. He's absolutely distraught, is Joe Willock, given the opportunity tonight, scoring the goals so early and then having to be withdrawn, and immediately walks off down the touchline knowing that treatment has to start already. Bruno Guimaraes comes into the team and takes over the captaincy because Kieran Trippier, who was the captain for large parts of last year, has handed the armband over. Bruno Guimaraes, I think over the summer they decided that he was going to be the long-standing captain, knowing that Kieran Trippier probably was going to have to fight for his place at right back.
Yeah, well, Livramento has come to the fore, and there's been talk, hasn't there, that Kieran Trippier might move on before now and the end of the window. Could this be his last appearance, potentially?
Wow. Trippier very quickly got the free kick underway after Tonali had won it just 10 yards inside opposition territory. Barnes skates forward, plays a lovely reverse ball into Joel Linton, then across from Lewis Hall into the box. It took a deflection off volley and then bounced favourably for Nottingham Forest, who managed to clear it upfield through Nicolas Dominguez. There was a lovely take from Sandro Tonali from the initial ball from Kieran Trippier down the line. He used his body brilliantly. I mean, I heard the stories. Eddie Howe told us yesterday that he'd been working hard and he thought he was going to come back as a better player. I mean, the opening 15 minutes, if this is anything to go by, I don't know if he's going to be able to sustain this for that long, but he looks fitter and sharper than at any time that I've seen him.
Yeah, he does. He's all over the place at the moment. He's full of energy, always looking to support Alexander Isak in that sort of right side midfield, box-to-box role. He's so versatile, though, Tonali. If they need him to hold, he can hold. Yeah. But I think his natural position is as a roving number 8, and he seems to like that right-hand side, with Joe Linton mirroring that position on the left of midfield. So yeah, look, they've got a lot of legs in their team, Newcastle United. They're powerful.
Both teams had reasonable runs the season before last in this competition, when Newcastle ended up as the beaten finalists in 2023. How they would love to repeat that. And 18 months ago, Forest reached the semi-finals themselves, and Forest fans, I think, would settle for a decent run in this competition too. But their priority is definitely going to be avoiding another relegation scrap that they've had to endure over the last couple of seasons. 17 gone, 1-0 to Newcastle United, and Barnes showing his trickery. He was so good when he came off the bench at the weekend. Back to Hall on this left-hand side. Into Joel Linton, then all the way back to Dan Burn, just 10 yards outside his own area. Plays it to Nick Pope, and it remains 1-0. Nottingham Forest started with a point against Bournemouth, where they played a really good first half, just regressed a little in the second half, conceded a very late goal. And they did see out a 1-0 win against Southampton on Saturday in a game they bossed shot-wise. Even if they only had 35% of the possession, they just pressed really high against a team that love to have the ball. Here's Barnes picking it up, edge of the area, feeding it out to the right-hand side. Almiron with the shot, and it's saved brilliantly down low to his right by Carlos Miguel. And once again, Barnes involved in the heart of the action, getting the ball inside the left channel, feeding it to the right, approaching the play on the edge of the 18-yard box from the right side. Almiron with the effort, good save.
Oh, they're finding some great angles, aren't they? Some beautiful triangles that they're forming. This was Tonali, lovely little pass inside to Harvey Barnes. He tees up Almiron. It's another good save from Carlos Miguel.
They've already had 3 shots on target, Newcastle United. Ball delivered to the far post. Joe Linton is unmarked, but it's just a little bit too hefty, and the goalkeeper eventually takes charge of the situation, comes out, grabs it, and will look to clear upfield. He didn't do it particularly well. It has fallen for Elliot Anderson. He tried to rush that a little bit. Tonali is harassing him, but Anderson has squeezed it out to the near side for Nottingham Forest, who trick their way down the touchline, cross into the box, eludes everybody, goes past Awoniyi and Jota Silva, and then is retrieved by Trippier and cleared out into the right full-back position. A little bit further out, Almiron's dropped deep to pick up the ball, and then he sent it back into the 18-yard box, collected by Emil Kraft, the Swede, who for a long time was a forgotten figure in Newcastle because he had such a terrible run of injuries. But he is certainly adding to the squad and helping out Eddie Howe at a time where his team really have a injury crisis. When you have a squad of their size, you always have an injury crisis when you pick up one or two. The fact that they're playing Byrne and Kraft as a two centre-half would sort of give you the emphasis of that. Pope has just spooned the ball, scuffed the ball out to the right side, and Trippier takes it to halfway. Tonali drops deep. The Italian looks up, just nudges it back to Trippier back into Tonali again, and then it's along with Tonali, who turns it back into the possession of Emil Kraft. Newcastle will want to improve on their opening two displays. They came out here with that intent and certainly have done up until this point. They were more compact and resolute once they went down to 10 men against Southampton. It took a second half change to rev them up against Bournemouth, where they did survive that late controversial scare. Tonali's won the ball back though, as a poor kick out by Carlos Miguel comes into the possession of Barnes. Back to halfway. Byrne. Bruno Guimaraes turning away from Jota Silva, who goes in trying to win a tackle and doesn't quite manage it. It works its way out towards the right side. Collected now by Almiron. Tackled by Moreno, but they've still got it with Trippier. Back to Almiron again. Worked it tight to Bruno Guimaraes, who turns away from Jota Silva, who's harassing him and pushing him and trying to win the ball. And they get the free kick. They take it quickly. They want to keep it moving. Tonali. Trippier. There's no moment to pause for breath at this moment in time, because Newcastle United are intent on setting a high tempo.
It's really impressive. Yeah, they're smothering Nottingham Forest at the moment with the ball. They're keeping it with great confidence, moving it freely between players. There's always a spare man.
Barnes, Tonali slips it down the right channel. It was an intelligent ball actually. It was very close to coming off for Miguel Almiron. It's been a really bright start for Eddie Howe's team.
Yeah, the tempo is great. It's absolutely superb, and Tonali has been really prominent in it. I don't think the player's touched the ball more than he has really in the first 21 minutes.
Well, they've got the ball now, Nottingham Forest, and maybe they'll try and make something happen. Sosa has it far side, sends it to Moreno. His cross into the box. Goes past everyone, and actually Lewis Hall allowed that to run across his body, and he forgot about Eric da Silva Moreira, who sends a cross, chips it to the back post, and there's no one there to capitalise. Goes out the other side. Trippier now harassing Sosa, and then in comes Almiron and kicks the ball out, and it goes out for a corner.
Well, this will please the home fans, who were stunned, I think, by that incredible start. One down after 18 seconds. And they've been too open, but I guess when you're playing a back three of Willy Boly, who looks a bit sluggish, you've got a debutant, Zach Abbott. Omid Bamidele hasn't had a lot of football either. It's maybe to be expected that they're getting carved open here.
Well, we're nearly halfway through the first half. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1. Ball delivered towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Pope just fists it away. Isn't too much danger there for Pope. Well, I wonder whether he will be included in Lee Carsley's England squad tomorrow, which will be announced at 2 o'clock on Talksport.
I think so. I mean, he was very much in the frame, wasn't he? Previously, probably he was number 2 ahead of Ramsdale at one point. Obviously, he's a first teamer. I'd have him in the squad.
Dean Henderson will certainly be a contender. Sam Johnson, if he goes to Wolves, will be too, as the ball goes into the box towards Sosa, who swipes at a shot, but it's blocked by Kraft. Comes out into midfield. Anderson, who's formerly of Newcastle and already making an impact in that Nottingham Forest midfield, works it to Moreno on loan from Aston Villa. Back in field it goes to Anderson once again. Across into Nico Dominguez, who actually didn't get to show his talents as much last season as maybe Steve Cooper, when he was the manager, would have liked. Ball switched by Anderson beautifully out to the right side, and Eric da Silva Moreira gets to the edge of the penalty area, held up by Hall, gives it back to Anderson, whose cross is blocked by Bruno Guimaraes, and then Dominguez just sort of mishandles the ball, and it's collected by Almiron, who leads the charge forward. Joel Linton, brilliant turn, and plays the ball into space down this left-hand side. Barnes runs onto it, gets to the edge of the penalty area. Omobami Delay tries to hold him up. It's with Joel Linton with a curler towards the far corner. It's not too far away.
They just make it look so easy, the Magpies, when they're in this kind of form. What's Willy Boly doing? He's gone into midfield to close down Joe Linton, but he's 5 yards off, and it's a one-touch pass around the corner, completely takes him out of the game, and Harvey Barnes is away. He gives it back to Joe Linton, who then curls just past the top corner. That midfield unit of Newcastle is absolutely bossing this game. Feel a little bit sorry for Elliot Anderson and Dominguez in there. They're being outnumbered and outplayed, really.
Yeah, they're vibrant at this moment in time, Newcastle. There is a tempo about them, there's a vibe about them, moving the ball so swiftly, and that little ball straight away, it was a first time ball round the corner from Joel Linton, which completely took out the defence, didn't it?
Yeah, look, Bolly made it easy, because I don't know what he's playing at. An experienced player like that, if you go in tight into midfield, you've got to be effective, and he was miles off it. But the vision of Joe Linton was exceptional, and Barnes has started this game well. And look, he's got a tag as being a super sub, because he often comes on and makes an impact.
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, he is. But I bet he hates it. So this is a big night for Harvey.
25 gone, 1-0 to Newcastle United. Forest, though, with Moreno in possession, cutting in from the left-hand side, gets to the edge of the D, lays it off to Eric da Silva Moreira. He's crossed towards the back post, he's headed away by Joel Linton, drops once again for Ramon Sosa. He went to strike it, then lost his footing. It squeezed out to Anderson, who swiped at the ball and hit it way over the top into the Newcastle fans, well over the bar and away to relative safety. 1-0.
It's poor, really, from Elliot Anderson. He's got players inside the box. He's got time to take a touch and maybe pick out a pass or just clip across into Awoniyi towards the far post. It's a really ambitious effort. He's leaning back, his balance is all wrong as he makes the strike, and it sails behind the goal, way over the bar.
Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Burnley 0, AFC Wimbledon 0, Ipswich 1, Cardiff 1, Southampton 2. Actually, Wimbledon have just equalised 1-1 in that game at Plough Lane. Colchester 0, Brentford 0, Swansea 0, Wickham 1, West Ham 0, Bournemouth 0, and Newcastle 1-0 here. Here is Sosa again into the penalty area. Ball blocked, comes back out to Jota Silva. Bruno Guimaraes trying to lead the escape, but there wasn't an escape route because Nottingham Forest were on them like a rash. They've won it back high up inside opposition territory. And now they get another ball into the box, another block takes place. Isaac guides it back into the path of Bruno Guimaraes, and then he leads the charge forward. A little bump by Jota Silva, that was illegal, and it's going to be a free kick just short of the centre circle, shade to the left of centre.
Yeah, sloppy foul there, but Newcastle, as soon as there is a restart, and they've started quickly again, hand on the ball, bang, let's go and play again. They're determined to really make this a difficult first half for the home side, and who I think are breathing heavy, because a lot of these guys haven't had a lot of first team football.
Of course. And one of those, Willy Bolly comes out, just gets in front of Joel Linton, steers it out of play on this near side. I think if you were looking at the wild margins of Newcastle United's social media this weekend, sort of, you know, the bits right on the edge, there was quite a bit of negativity around the team's display at the weekend, and even in that first game as well, because I think it was expected that they would blow Southampton away. Obviously the sending off changed the game there, and they weren't playing particularly well actually up until that point. But I think right-minded Newcastle fans know that the team has got to get up to speed. They're certainly trying to get up to speed tonight, and with a longer view, I mean, the idea of a team finishing 7th last season and 4th the season before, I mean, that would have been cause for booking a open-top bus a few seasons ago.
It would, yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Standards have been raised greatly, haven't they? They're unrecognisable from pre-Eddie Howe. But I guess finishing in the Champions League places and playing pretty well in the Champions League has just raised expectations among the supporters. But I don't think there's too much wrong with this side, this squad. The only issue really is up front at the moment. You've got Isak, who's brilliant, but Wilson, you know, he doesn't stay fit long enough, does he?
No, and he's not fit at this moment in time. Someone is Sandro Tonali, running over on that far side and being a right harasser and winning the ball back for Newcastle. And he's done superbly. Bruno Guimaraes is crunched by Nico Dominguez. The ball deflects out of play on the far side. It goes out for a Newcastle throw halfway inside their own territory, wide on the right. In front of that two-tiered main stand opposite us, there are a lot of private boxes that are empty on that far side tonight.
Yeah, not many seats empty, but the boxes are. No prawn sandwiches tonight, or not so many, but I've got to say it's a really healthy attendance.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, last night I went to Everton and their game against Doncaster Rovers. They're playing League 2 opposition, they had 37,500 there, and they've been rubbish so far this season. and they weren't very good in the first half. They were actually much better in the second, and they were clinical in the end. But, you know, for a team that was struggling in terms of performances, and they've had some negativity around the group because of what happened at the station on Saturday night. But for 37,500 to turn up to a Carabao Cup second round tie against Doncaster, I think shows the level of support that club's got.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a lot of the people that would have been there would be people that can't get a ticket for the Premier League games. Similar story maybe tonight, where it's more difficult to get inside the City ground on a weekend. So yeah, look, the support for Everton and for Forest too is big.
Omobami delay. Long-limbed and rangy, takes the ball over the halfway line, lends it to Ramon Sosa, who was playing Paraguayan football not so long ago. £9.5 million signing this summer. Ball sent upfield by Anderson towards Jota Silva, but Joe Linton is there to win after the knockdown and bound the ball forward into the path of Barnes. Barnes skips away from Anderson, who tries doggedly to stick with him, and then two of them push him to the margins of the pitch, and he sends it back to the halfway line, and the blonde-haired figure of Lewis Hall takes over, runs laterally, and then clips it out to the far side, and actually does clip it out to the far side, right out, and into the first row of the stand.
Yeah, Eddie Howe won't be happy with that. That was really sloppy. It's a basic pass, isn't it? Just had to clip that over a defender to a teammate, and he's ballooned it. Lewis Hall, who came in, didn't he, towards the end of last season and played pretty well actually for Newcastle United. Cost a lot, didn't he? Obviously they made that move permanent. Was it 28 million? I think he went for in the end. It wasn't cheap.
Lewis Hall?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a huge deal in the end. It was 28 million, 28 million, something like that. And it had to be, really. Young player of his talent. Chelsea obviously decided not to keep him at the football club, the pure profit and all that, PSR. They haven't got a left back to rival Cucurella at this moment in time now, so that was another wise choice from them. 28 million in a deal that could rise to 35 million if he fulfills all the criteria.
Wow, yeah. They do sell quite well, Chelsea. I mean, they get good money here.
They sell a lot,
yeah,
but then again, if you've got a lot, you can sell a lot. And a disgruntled Chelsea supporter might say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the plan is there. Yeah. It's
let's move on before we get bogged down there. I've had a bad enough day in the traffic on the A50. Here's Anderson taking the ball up on this near side. I tell you what though, this game has been a real tonic.
Yeah,
it's been a fantastic event to be at. We've 30 minutes. It's a real privilege to come to this stadium anyway. I love coming here. I don't know about you. I think it's absolutely terrific.
Yeah, no, the atmosphere, obviously with the anthem before the game, the Mulligan Tyre always gets you going. And look, the football has been excellent. It's been very attack-minded. Both teams really on the front foot.
Really good fun. Here's Dominguez down the left-hand side, looking for Moreno to skip past the challenge of Trippier. He gets the better of him, Trippier, and then Miguel Almiron, who's all action. Certainly he's not worried about overexerting himself if Fulham are in the market for buying him. He's been linked with a couple of moves, to be honest. He was linked with a move to Charlotte FC in the United States, North Carolina, and linking up with their manager, who we all know from his period here, Dean Smith.
Yeah.
He didn't make that move. Terms weren't favourable, didn't want to go. They want to keep him, I think, if they can. But there has been another bid this time from Fulham, who have been quite aggressive in the market.
Yeah, Fulham could do with a player of his ilk. They've obviously lost Willian. I think they need a little bit more creativity in that team, a bit more punch inside the final third. And look, a red-hot Almiron is a good Premier League player, isn't he? He will always try. He's a real grafter. I think he's an excellent defensive winger. He'll do his bit for the team.
Dan Burn has made a mistake and allowed the ball to bounce. It dropped from the sky, and Awoniyi was sort of behind him, putting pressure on him, and Nick Pope had to come and take charge in the end, and they were a little bit fortunate there that Awoniyi wasn't a little bit sharper. Had he have been, Burn was in trouble. He shouldn't have let that bounce.
No, definitely not. No, he looked really uncomfortable there, Dan Burn, and I was surprised at Awoniyi. I think, he's such a strong guy. I know he's a little bit smaller than Dan Burn, but he didn't even bother trying to outmuscle the Newcastle centre-half.
Just wonder if that would have been the case in a couple of weeks when he's a little bit more up to speed.
And when he's at his rampaging best, he is a handful.
He's a good goal scorer as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I really like him, and it's just can they keep him fit? I think if I had a fit Wood and Awoniyi, I think I'd be inclined to go with Awoniyi.
Here is Moreno for Nottingham Forest, trying to get back into the game. Nudged down the left-hand side, right towards the corner flag. Collected by Ramon Sosa, who steers it all the way back to Zach Abbott, who's making his second appearance in the cherry red of the Tricky Trees. His last appearance under Steve Cooper 2 years ago was when he was just 16 years of age against Grimsby in this competition. He came off the bench. It's his first start tonight. Here's Dominguez. Zach Abbott again. Played a few times in pre-season, a little wobble against Chesterfield, but largely impressed, which is why he's been included tonight. Eric Da Silva Moreira trying to get the ball down the right for Jota Silva, and the ball goes out of play on this near touchline, but very quickly Nottingham Forest get it back again. Hall out with Jota Silva. It's with Joel Linton. Dead centre of the park is Bruno Guimaraes, and he's sent a rather heavy pass out for Kieran Trippier to chase. Trippier's done well to win it initially, but he's not going to get the... Oh, he is going to get the second ball. Brilliant. And then play a really neat ball into Tonali, who switches the play out to the right side. And now a chance for Almiron to attack Zach Abbott. Gets to the bar, to the touchline, comes infield, tries to play it to the edge of the area, and Isaac tries to help it on. And then they crowd those two black and white jerseys out, really, the Nottingham Forest defenders. And eventually the ball ricochets kindly for Carlos Miguel, and they'll clear.
Yeah, in the end, they just had too many numbers, didn't they, around Alexander Isak. There was 3 players there with just the one striker, of course, and I think when that happens, you know, they have to step into midfield. They have to be a little bit more proactive. They probably haven't done that until this point a great deal, Nottingham Forest.
Well, Anderson's got the better of Tonali there. Lovely little turn, but then he's run into Kieran Trippier. And it's one back, all then given away by Joel Linton. A little bit sloppy. They're inviting a little bit of pressure here from Nottingham Forest. It remains 1-0 to Newcastle. 35 minutes gone. Here is Eric Da Silva Moreira out towards the right-hand side. He got a little bit nudged on this near touchline before taking the ball out of the perimeter of the pitch, and it's going to be a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Newcastle don't want to open the door to their opponents.
No, Eric Da Silva Moreira's had a lot of the ball, hasn't he? He's only 18.
Yes.
You know, he's really played reserve football in Germany for St. Pauli's second team primarily. So it's quite a step up for him tonight, and he's looked confident. They've switched the play to him on numerous occasions. What I will say, when he's had that time and space, he hasn't really delivered any end product of note so far, but temperament-wise, he looks like he can handle it.
Yeah, played a little bit under Fabian Herzler for St. Pauli last season, en route to winning the second division title in Germany. But he is still a very young player. Nottingham Forest have got a couple of young players out there tonight. I think Abbott is only 18 years of age. We've got the young 19-year-old Ben Perry on the bench. Ramon Sosa is 24, a little bit more experienced. But there's a few youngsters out there this evening, a couple of teenagers, and a few on the bench as well. The ball thrown in by Eric Da Silva Moreira, and Willie Bolly was trying to help it into a danger zone but didn't quite connect with it. It goes into the arms of Nick Pope and will be cleared away. Newcastle players showing their intent to set the tempo tonight. Like all clubs, there's a few players in the squad that are still getting their match sharpness. That will probably be in evidence in the first few weeks of the season. They probably can't keep up the tempo that they've set in this first 45 minutes without making significant changes in the second half.
And look, this is why I don't think it makes sense to make 10, 11 changes, because you want to get your team to find a flow, a rhythm, and the sooner you can get that optimum match fitness, the better as far as I'm concerned. And this is a game. Yeah. For the first team, and Newcastle obviously got a lot more first team regulars down there on the pitch than Nottingham Forest. He might, if they go out tonight, might see this as a real missed opportunity, Nuno.
Yeah. Newcastle United got a big game on Saturday. They play Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday, which is a tough
do
fixture.
Right against them, though, don't they?
Yes, they do. They really do. Said the Arsenal man. It's funny that you should bring that up and have that knowledge.
Just stuck in my head. Yeah, just stuck in my head. A couple of recent games at St James's Park that I enjoyed.
Quite a lot of them actually have been live on Talksport, if I remember rightly, as well. And we were there last season when Mickey van der Ven, who was absolutely terrific for most of the season, actually just had a horror show.
Yeah, I worked on that game myself.
Newcastle, I think Newcastle ended up winning that quite heavily. I think, was it 3 or 4 in the end? But actually, it could have been 5 or 6 way before the last 2 had gone in.
Yeah, it was a battering. But yeah, you're right about Van der Ven. I couldn't believe my eyes because he'd been so good until that point. But look, when Newcastle are at boiling point, and they have been at little passages of this game, they're such a tough team.
And here they are being dangerous again. Flick on by Joel Linton into the path of Barnes. Barnes gets to the edge of the penalty area, goes on the outside, produces a cross. Oh, brilliant cross through the 6-yard box. No one there to tap it home. Comes back to Isaac now via Almiron. He tries to turn the Swede, pokes it back to Almiron again, who steers it to the edge of the area. Barnes is getting involved once more. His left-footed shot goes down by Bolly and deflects to halfway. That was a terrific ball through the 6-yard area from Barnes. There was no one there to tap it home.
No, Isak's got to get in there, hasn't he? He's the centre forward. He should be poaching that inside the 6-yard box. It goes right through that empty corridor to Almiron at the far post.
Missed opportunity for Newcastle. 5 minutes to go before the break. They lead by a goal to nil. Goal scored after 18 seconds here tonight. They're back underway at Molineux. Wolves 1, Burnley 0. Half-time Ipswich, Wimbledon, it's 1-1 there. Half-time down at Cardiff, 2-1 to Saints. And half-time at Colchester, 1-0 to Brentford. Swansea 0, Wycombe 1 at half-time. And half-time on Talksport tonight, West Ham United 0, Bournemouth 0. 1-0 to Newcastle here, live on Talksport 2. Here is Joel Linton, up over the halfway line, helping the ball into Isaac, who'll turn and fly the ball out to the right-hand side. There were 2 up players on that right-hand side. He missed both of them and found Moreno, who has sparked a Nottingham Forest attack. He squirted the ball into the path of Ramon Sosa, who is midway between the halfway line and the edge of the penalty area, over on the Forest left. A squat figure just nudges the ball back into midfield, and Dominguez, who with his head shaven and his shirt untucked around his waist, just helps it back. There will be a time, and it won't be too far away, because 1 or 2 have started to do it, where the trend goes back to the old days and everyone will have their shirt tucked in at the waist again.
Yeah, it does feel like it's coming back.
It's coming back. Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah. Well, I was always told I had to tuck my shirt in.
Were you?
I mean, but they were massive back in the 90s. I don't know if you've seen them. They were like
I was
tense.
around in the 90s. Don't worry about that. Don't mistake my vaulting skills for youth.
I won't. But yeah, look, at Arsenal under George Graham, if you dare to go out with your shirt untucked, it'd be on you.
Didn't you have a rule as well where Tony Adams would decide whether it was long sleeves or short sleeves, and everybody wore the same?
Yeah, that's a long-standing rule at Arsenal, long tradition. I think since the beginning of the club, really, the captain decides what kind of shirt you wear, basically. But that has changed, unfortunately.
Here is Barnes, near touchline for Newcastle United, jinking infield. Some manufacturers don't even make long sleeve shirts anymore because they just use the Under Armour instead.
Yeah.
Adidas actually do. Nike are very reluctant to use a long sleeve shirt. Here is Kraft. I must admit, there's something about a long sleeve shirt that I really liked. I absolutely love a long sleeve shirt.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yes.
always have done. Yeah. Even if it means I have to roll it up, I like that.
Okay. Yeah. You see, I'm the opposite. I would always go short sleeve. I'm a bit tougher than you, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Well, unfortunately for Newcastle, Iwanya was tougher than Lewis Hall there, and he pushed him out of the way and sent the ball down the right channel. But Jota Silva couldn't get there before Nick Pope, who came out to the edge of the area and cleared away.
They're pretty comfortable, aren't they, Newcastle? You know, the Forest have been bright in patches. You've seen little flashes from Jota Silva and the wide players, but haven't really carved open the Magpies.
No end product. I mean, there was a dive from Jota Silva. Very elaborate dive as well. After listen, there was a little bit of contact, but I'm not necessarily sure it required that level of performance.
It did the job though, and
certainly did.
They've got themselves a free kick, and look at the high line that Newcastle are putting up here. They are, what, 5 yards outside the D.
Yeah. And this free kick, actually, if you go back geography-wise, it's a step in from the right touchline, but it's only 10 yards outside the area, and they're 5 yards outside the area. So there's not much room to play here.
No, it's a small margin of error, but a big gap inside the box if someone can time it.
Absolutely. Here is Sosa with the delivery. It's a beautiful delivery, arcing through the 6-yard box, and they were queuing up to try and get on the end of it. Zach Abbott missed it. It went through past Awonyi, and I think at the far post, Omobami Delay was coming in, and he couldn't convert it either.
Wow, what a cross from Sosa. That is a whip. That is a whipped cross, because I sat here thinking, well, that's going towards the goalkeeper all day long, but the curl on the ball was incredible. And Nick Pope backs away from it.
Oh, he should have come.
He should have come, but it was a devilish ball. It was really, really difficult. And in the end, they can't control their header at the far post. He was onside. Awani.
It was Awani and Omobami Delay, but it was Awani who connected with the ball, and then Awani connected with Omobami Delay and squeezed him into the post.
Yeah, it's a bit of a collision there, but that was a great cross, and that will fill Ramon Sosa with a lot of confidence, because he's just contributed there to a big moment.
Tonali has contributed himself, moves the ball forward down the right side. Almiron, this will be a good time to get a second goal for Newcastle. Curls it into the box, and around him was Joel Linton. He didn't quite get there. It's over his head and headed away by Dominguez. Out as far as Lewis Hall, edge of the penalty area. Poor delivery into the box. Might get a second chance here as he charges forward. He scored for Newcastle in this competition a year ago against Manchester United, and then Bruno Guimaraes was held up, and despite the fact that Elliot Anderson thought he was going to escape without giving away a free kick, the referee Sam Allison has changed his mind and given the set piece to Newcastle, 10 yards in front of the centre circle. 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half here on Talksport 2, and Wolves have taken another step towards a place in round 3. They lead Burnley by 2-0. Adrian Dunn presenting tonight from Molineux, and they've just got back underway.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Guimaraes. Since he's come on, they've been really tight to him, they've been aggressive to him, and I've just worked out it's Dominguez, Argentinian.
Oh yeah. South America. There's quite a few South American battles going on out there tonight.
That's tasty down there. Dominguez and Guimaraes, they're not friends, you can tell.
Joel Linton as well involved in that. Here is that was a dreadful free kick from Trippier. It gave the ball straight back to Jota Silva, and then Ramon Sosa has closed it down over on the far side, and Nick Pope just dawdling a little bit, just flicked the ball away after pressure, and then Trippier gets it back to Pope once again. A heavy touch allowing Awani to close him down. In the end, he just says, I'll get rid of this, and does, and fires it from the edge of the 18-yard box out of play over on the far side. Well, that was a Newcastle free kick in opposition territory, with a chance to create something before half-time, and it ended up having wobbles at the back.
Yep, silly, bad choices. Yeah, poor decision making, put the goalkeeper under unnecessary pressure. But that's more like it from Forest. You saw Sosa run 30 yards to close down Pope. They haven't done enough of that. They're at home here, they've got to lift the tempo themselves.
Well, that's a lovely turn by Eric da Silva Moreira. Lewis Hall's having a bit of a torrid time on this near touchline. Ball into the box by Jota Silva, well defended by Dan Burn. Back out to Jota Silva again, teasing it into the corner for Eric da Silva Moreira, and then Lewis Hall just nudges it into the path of Joel Linton in the left fullback area for Newcastle, and he wants to get it long and up to Isaac for him to chase, but that's going to float out of play, and it's going to go away for a throw-in. Newcastle had such great attacking impetus in the first half of the first half. Just in the last 15 minutes or so, have lost that impetus.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's fitness, whether the second wind for Forest has kicked in as well, where they feel they're in the game now. But yeah, there's not quite as much drive and purpose about Newcastle. But that said, they've still created the best chances in this first half. And whenever they do go through the gears, and when they get Tonali on the ball, or Isak or Almiron, they carry a bigger threat, I think, than this sort of patched up Nottingham Forest 11.
Well, they've had 6 attempts on goal, 4 of them on target so far, whereas Nottingham Forest have had 9 attempts on goal allegedly, only 1 of them has been on target up until this point. That, I think, sums it up.
Yeah, I don't know what the XG would be, but surely Newcastle would be significantly higher than Forest. You know, they deserve their lead. I think they're probably 2-0 would be a better reflection of what we've seen in this first half. So in a sense, Nuno Espirito Santo will get the players in at half-time feeling okay because they're still in the tie.
Indeed they are. Newcastle leading by that 18th second goal to Joe Willock, who was subsequently replaced actually after just 15 minutes because of an injury that he picked up in the first half. Tonali had another chance, a really good chance, and he's just won the ball back on the halfway line, and he's tussling with Omobami Delay. He's been terrific so far in the game, Tonali. Really a driving force, full of energy. He looks like a toy that's just had his batteries changed.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good analogy. It's true. He's got fresh batteries, and he is very, very sprightly in the heart of that injury room. There's another foul. Brazil on Argentina this time. Guimaraes on Dominguez. They're racking them up, those two.
Yeah. There's the half-time whistle. Well, Nottingham Forest knocked Newcastle out in 2017 and 2018 at this stage, but thanks to a goal after just 18 seconds from Joe Willock, who subsequently had to be substituted, Newcastle are well on the way to preventing it happening again. Could have been 2-0 if Sandro Tonali hadn't have been denied by Carlos Miguel on his debut, but a thoroughly good 35 minutes from Newcastle before the game seemed to just tilt in the last 10 or so. Terrific tempo to it at half-time, Adrian Clark. It is Newcastle United who lead by a goal to nil.
Yeah, and they deserve that lead. They were so sharp early on in this game. Isak carving opportunities for others for fun. Obviously we had the early goal where they just caught Forest napping. You know, they attacked down young Zach Abbott's side, didn't they? But it was a really good move. It went from Tonali to Almiron. He fed to Isak, and then he was away. The shot was well saved by Carlos Miguel, but Willock, as he always does, makes up ground, gets into the box and gets himself a tap in, and you know, after 15-20 minutes they threatened to run amok, really, Newcastle, but Carlos Miguel kept the home side in the game, and Forest have grown into it, haven't they, as Newcastle have waned.
And I suppose that's only to be expected because Forest started with 10 changes from their previous game. There's a lot of players making their debut, 4 debutants tonight. Young player in Zach Abbott playing as part of the back three, a change of system as well, with Moreno playing as a wing back and Eric Da Silva Moreira playing as the other wing back. And because you've got that new sort of composition and new players as well, it takes a little bit of time to bed in.
Of course it does, yeah, and that's the risk that every manager takes. I mean, it was interesting reading about Neil Harris at Millwall, who went out last night to Leyton Orient, and he said, I regret the team because I picked the team on minutes. I thought, who needs minutes? And he also thought, well, I've got this agent on my back, this player on my back, asking for game time. I'll give them that game time. And it backfired because it was a mishmash performance, fragmented, and they didn't get anything going, and they went out to a lower league side in Leyton Orient. And that's the risk every manager takes when they make these wholesale changes. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't. But I think once Nuno saw Newcastle's 11, he might have thought, we could be in trouble here tonight.
Well, unless they get a goal in the second half, they will be in trouble. I think he'll be pretty pleased that it's not more than the 1-0 that the scoreline reads at the half-time break. When we come back, we'll review what happened in the first half. We're also going to hear from Craig Bellamy in the next few minutes, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new format for the Champions League. That's all coming next here on Talksport 2.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the EFL. Pre-order the new Google Pixel 9 Pro on EE with Gemini.
What's Gemini?
Google's new AI assistant.
An assistant? So it can plan date nights?
Yep, quality time sorted.
And help me make dinner with the ingredients in my fridge. And I can save £864 when I trade in.
You betcha. No wonder tech lovers choose EE, the UK's best network for 10 years. Offer ends 5th of September.
Saving across trading and unlimited data. Credit check and terms apply. Credit by EE Limited. Gemini mobile app requires internet. Check responses for accuracy. Verify at ee.co.uk/claims.
Here we are, the tagliatelle and the chicken Caesar. Can I get you anything else?
Oh, yes. We'd like a weekend exploring Lisbon, please.
Turn your everyday spend into new experiences with the Barclaycard Avios credit card. Collect a double welcome bonus of 10,000 Avios when you spend £1,000 on your card in the first 3 months. Double welcome bonus for new customers only, usually 5,000 Avios. Offer ends 26 September 2024. Search Barclaycard Avios. 29.9% APR representative variable. Subject to financial status, T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Hello, Sky Sports football commentator Peter Drury here. I don't sound like I usually do because I've been overdoing it recently. You see, Sky are showing more football than ever before this season, as well as the biggest Premier League games. With Sky Sports Plus, there's over 1,000 EFL matches too, including every Carabao Cup fixture live. Can I get a water? Thanks. That's better. Upgrade to Sky Sports today. Requires Sky TV. See sky.com for details.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
This Saturday, game day is go.
This stadium is shaking!
Exclusive full match commentary of Arsenal versus Brighton. Coverage from 11, kick-off 12:30 on Talksport.
The PGA Tour Championship tomorrow night from 6 on Talksport 2. As the world's golfing elite go head-to-head at East Lake Golf Club, hear full swing by-pitch, by-putt commentary of all the action direct from Atlanta, Georgia. The PGA Tour Championship tomorrow night from 6 on Talksport 2.
Friday night from 10, the king of the transfers is back. Transfer Deadline Day special with Jim White and Alex Crook on Talksport.
It's all happening here.
As a summer of spectacular spending reaches its thrilling climax, hear the latest transfer news first.
He is gone.
Jim White will be in the hot seat, bringing you instantaneous reaction to all the last-minute deals as they're done before the window slams shut at 11 p.m.
That's that!
Then get all the fast-paced fallout on the Sports Bar Weekender with Alex Crook and Carlton Cole.
Oh, what a mood!
Transfer Deadline Day special with Jim White and Alex Crook. Friday night from 10 on Talksport.
Brilliant.
The Monday Club on Talksport 2.
A broadcasting juggernaut of sport.
Honestly, it's a whole different conversation.
Professional analysis.
He was at the very peak of his powers.
Yeah.
He's the master of dark arts.
And refreshingly frank opinion after all the action.
I don't rate him at all.
So I think he's useless.
The Monday Club, the sharpest minds in the business.
That is unbelievable.
Monday afternoon from 5
on Talksport 2.
The epicenter of world-class football coverage.
And he finds the bottom corner.
The League Cup live on Talksport 2.
After solid, if unspectacular starts, both embark on a journey they hope leads them onto the road to Wembley.
Here's Isaac steaming through to the edge of the penalty area. A right-footed shot. Willock is there, and we have a goal inside 15 seconds at the City Ground. Joe Willock has finished it off. Isaac's trying to get on the end of that and does. And Tonali now gets a shot on goal, and it's stopped by Carlos Miguel. Well, Newcastle could have had two.
He's so versatile, though, Tonali. If they need him to hold, he can hold. I think his natural position is as a roving number 8.
And unfortunately, Newcastle United are going to have to make an early change here. It doesn't look like Joe Willock is going to be able to continue, and that's sad for him.
There's been talk, hasn't there, that Kieran Trippier might move on before now and the end of the window. Could this be his last appearance, potentially?
This game has been a real tonic. Welcome back. This is Sam Face alongside Adrian Clark at the City Ground tonight, where it's Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle 1, Wolves 2, Burnley 0 is the latest from the EFL Cup second round. AFC Wimbledon 1, Ipswich 1, Cardiff 2, Southampton 2. That could be a bit of an upset. Colchester 0, Brentford 1. This could be a big upset. Swansea 0, Wycombe Wanderers 1. And West Ham United 0, Bournemouth 0 over on Talksport 2. Looks like Aaron Ramsdale is going to head to Bournemouth. £18 million fee, rising to 25 if they stay up. Sorry, leaving Arsenal to go to Southampton. He came from Bournemouth. But that is some move, isn't it? Well, and that's some price.
It's a great deal for Southampton, isn't it? It feels to me as if that is a lowball offer, and I'm surprised it's been accepted, but I think for the sake of Aaron's career, he does need to move on. He needs to remind everyone what a great goalkeeper he is, and I'm sure he'll do that at Southampton. But yeah, in terms of the fee, it feels incredibly low for such a talented goalkeeper who proved, in my opinion, at Arsenal that he belongs at a top club. He wasn't fazed by the challenge at all. In fact, I think he relished it.
Yeah, and he does love that. He loves the idea of sort of showing his personality and embracing whatever's thrown at him. Actually, he's a cracking guy. He'll bring personality to that dressing room, and I think that's a dressing room that probably needs a sort of Aaron Ramsdale type character.
I agree. Yeah, no, I've heard that before. You know, the Saints maybe need a few more characters in that dressing room. They need a bit of more Premier League experience. He comes with a little bit of an aura. You know, he's an Arsenal goalkeeper. He's played in some big games, and I think that will be a signal to the fans and the dressing room that actually we're not going to accept our fate here. We're not just going to be also Rans that are going to go down to the Championship after one season here. We're going to give it a go.
And crucially, for him, playing first team football in the Premier League week in, week out means that he can re-establish himself as maybe an England goalkeeper, either number 1, number 2 or number 3.
At one point he was better than Jordan Pickford. There was just a real loyalty shown, understandably, from Gareth Southgate towards Jordan because he'd done so well for England. But in Premier League terms, Ramsdale was outperforming Jordan Pickford, not just in my opinion, I think in a lot of people's views. So he's close, or he was close, and I think he's good enough to get back there. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he has a good season. Come next summer, he could be the first choice keeper for England, especially with the new manager.
Yeah, new manager speaking tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and we'll bring you that live on Talksport and Talksport 2 throughout the course of the afternoon as England name their squad. We'll hear from Craig Bellamy in just a moment because he's named his first squad for Wales up ahead of their game against Montenegro on Monday the 9th of September. Also big day tomorrow for the Champions League. The draw will be made tomorrow evening, and Talksport's Drive Show with Andy Goldstein will keep you up to date throughout the draw and its proceedings. It's a completely new format, so here's Talksport's Tom Clayton to explain how it's going to work.
This Thursday's draw won't look at all like we used to. No men in suits drawing balls from pots. Instead, the first round will be done by a computer due to the league phase's complexity. So 36 teams will be divided into 4 pots based on their coefficients. Man City and Liverpool into pot 1, Arsenal pot 2 and Villa into pot 4. Everyone plays 8 matches, 2 from each pot, 1 home, 1 away. So for example, City might get RB Leipzig at home and PSG away from pot 1. Then 2 each from pot 2, 2 from pot 3 and then 2 from pot 4. At the end of everyone's 8 matches, the top 8 in league go straight into the knockouts. The teams that finish from 9th to 24th go into a 2-legged playoff. The winners of the head-to-heads go into a standard knockout draw like we all know, for a round of 16 right the way through to the final. The Europa League, which includes Manchester United and Tottenham, is the same format. The Conference League, featuring Chelsea, providing they beat Servette on Thursday, is virtually the same, just with 6 games rather than 8. If you're still not sure on all that, stay tuned throughout the week here on Talksport, where we'll have more experts guide you through all you need to know.
It's one of those where you need an expert as well. And on Sunday's Trans-Europe Express show over on Talksport with Danny Kelly, European football expert Andy Brassel admitted that the draw being automated does remove the fun factor for supporters. Is that with tongue-in-cheek, Andy?
Will this be the beginning of the end of the Champions League draw as a spectacle? Take it from me, when Newcastle qualified for the Champions League last year, people were getting into their shirts and going to the pub to watch the draw. It was that exciting. And there will be other places like that. Maybe Brest, for example, is a good example of that. Maybe they're nipping off for a cider on like Thursday tea time with their replicas on.
Who went to the pub in their football shirt to watch a Champions League draw? 81089 on the text if you did that.
What's Andy on about? Andy's brilliant. But what is he on about? The draws they're not fun.
It's so boring.
And
by the way, it's not the bit with the balls that outfoxes everybody. You can't do the bit with the balls now because there's about 115 teams in the Champions League. But it's all that rabbiting on that they do before the draws, which is a right pain in the backside.
I haven't watched a draw in years. I just always switch off.
You're telling me you didn't go down to the Roebuck Inn at the end of your road in your Arsenal jersey to find out who they got on their return to the Champions League?
I mean, I do know that pub, and I did used to live in that area, but no, I didn't. No, I just waited and then read it.
Yeah. Andy, who has his finger on the pulse in so many different ways, might well have not had the cultural touchstone that I was expecting there on that particular incident. Like I said, if you did go to watch a draw in a pub last year in a football shirt, 81089 on the text, and we'll point you in the direction of some self-help. Right, earlier on today, Wales' new head coach Craig Bellamy named his first squad ahead of their upcoming Nations League matches, and this is what he had to say about how he was finding his new role.
Settling in, first couple of weeks was new. Spent a bit of time trying to adjust, obviously not being on a pitch every day, which is, over the last 7 years, what I've been used to. But I got to be honest, the last 3 weeks, the more you're looking at the squad, the more you're watching games, getting your staff together as well has been, I've really loved the last few weeks. I like how it's all setting up, the support as well from Dave, Noel, IG as well, as you all know. It's really helped. Words of advice as well at the right time from those guys has really been important.
Interesting to see if he likes it as much by the time we get to the end of November, when they play Turkey, Iceland and Montenegro. That game, by the way, the Montenegro away game, Monday the 9th of September, live with Dean Saunders and Nigel Adderley on Talksport 2 right here, bringing you commentary of that particular game. They actually start a couple of days before that, Friday the 6th of September against Turkey in Cardiff. They are not particularly easy fixtures to start with for the new boss.
No, definitely not. But look, I wish Craig Bellamy the best of luck there. He's a passionate Welshman. For him, it's a dream gig, isn't it? And I wish him well. It's a big old plunge. It would be different from being a number 2, working alongside Vincent Kompany, that's for sure.
Well, we brought you the news just earlier on tonight that Southampton was signing a brand new goalkeeper in Aaron Ramsdale. They might need one. They've conceded 3 goals against Cardiff tonight. It's 3-3 and they've only played an hour.
Oof, yeah. Aaron straight into the team then at the weekend, I'd imagine. But yeah, look, they need a keeper. McCarthy was their number 3 keeper for much of last season, and he's the one that started this campaign. So yeah, it's a much needed signing for them.
Absolutely. We're back underway live on Talksport 2 between Nottingham Forest and Newcastle United. Nottingham Forest shooting from right to left in this second half in red shirts, white shorts and red socks, and Newcastle in that familiar black and white striped kit with black shorts and white socks attacking the goal to our right, where their supporters are housed. Away to our right-hand side. The Trent End packed away to our left. And certainly both sets of supporters in fine voice. Nottingham Forest, who suffered an early setback after just 18 seconds when Joe Willock scored past Carlos Miguel, who's making his debut. Their back 3 is Bolly, Amabemi Delay and Abbott. The wing-backs are Eric da Silva Moreira on the right and Moreno on the left. Anderson and Dominguez in the centre, with Ramon Sosa peeling out to the left. Jota Silva in behind Awoniyi in attack. For Newcastle United, 4-3-3, Pope in goal, Trippier, Kraft, Byrne and Hall. Willock was replaced after 15 minutes by Bruno Guimaraes in midfield. Tonali and Joe Linton joining him in there. Almiron and Barnes flanking Isaac in attack. And we played just over a minute and 20 seconds on Talksport 2 at the start of the second half. Forest have beat Newcastle United 3-1 here at this stage in 2018 with an early goal from Daryl Murphy. We then saw Rondon equalise before 2 late goals from Diaz and Matty Cash settled it. The year before, we went to extra time, 3-2 the final score. Tyler Walker, son of Des, won the game from the bench in the 97th minute.
Yeah, he used to come on off the bench a few times, Tyler Walker, and made an impact. He went down the leagues, where he is at the moment actually, Tyler Walker, but he was a striker, unlike his dad.
Yeah, both had brilliant speed though.
Oh yes,
unbelievable speed. That ran in the genes. Ball thrown in from the left-hand side by Moreno onto the chest of Awoniyi. He takes it towards the corner flag as they attack down the left, Nottingham Forest. He used his strength to hold off Tonali, got close to him, but he was too burly for him. And then Almiron puts pressure on Anderson. And Newcastle almost win the ball back on halfway. And Anderson could have actually given away a foul there. He was a little bit clumsy with his kick through as he guided the ball back. Isaac has gone down. Almiron also needs a little bit of treatment. And The game has been delayed just 2.5 minutes into the start of the second 45.
It was a little bit reckless, wasn't it? It was an ugly challenge. Isak sort of waved away Elliot Anderson, who was a teammate of his up until a few weeks ago, of course. Sort of wasn't interested in an apology there. He looks a little bit hurt, doesn't he, the Swede? Just looking at it now, he just follows through. I think it's accidental, actually, from Elliot Anderson. He toes the ball away and he follows through with the motion of kicking the ball and catches Isak. It's an absolute accident.
He's just getting stretched out. Hopefully it's not an Achilles problem. He's just sort of having that area, that ankle, just sort of manipulated by the physio and medical staff here at the City Ground. Eddie Howe pacing up and down inside the technical area. That's the one area of the field that they just cannot afford to lose a player at this moment in time. Last year they lost so many players in key areas. Losing Isak now would just be an absolute disaster for Newcastle United. It would derail their season
completely. Yeah, Isak is one of the division's best, and as it stands, the reason he's playing tonight is they don't have anyone else that can offer the same quality in forward areas that's fit. You've got to say, at both ends of the pitch, Newcastle, for a club that's as wealthy as they are, haven't really, got the strongest department at centre-half or at striker, two really, really important parts of the field.
Well, Fabian Schär is fit. He's just suspended for being an idiot in the first week of the season and headbutting Brereton Diaz.
Yeah, but he was only half an idiot.
Okay. He's half an idiot. He only half headbutted him. Yeah. Here's Alex Moreno sending the ball towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed down into the area.
Jota Silva is there and cracks it off the crossbar and past the stranded Nick Pope. Wasn't defended at all well by Newcastle United. They completely failed to deal with the delivery into the box. A throw-in from the left-hand side. He dropped to Jota Silva and he smashed it in off the crossbar to get his first goal on his full debut for his new club. And it's Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 1.
Well, Jota Silva said that he was a better finisher than Jack Grealish, and he's kind of showed why there. That's an unerring strike. The long throw is not dealt with very well at all by Newcastle United. It comes off somebody's head and it falls to Jota, and he's got way too much space, 3 or 4 yards around him, but he doesn't need much space because he just lashes it right-footed in off the crossbar, just kisses the underside of the bar. Really, really nice instant strike from Jota Silva.
I think it comes off Joel Linton and bounces off the body of Volley and deflects away from the Newcastle backline and falls kindly for Jota Silva, who cracks it actually off the corner of the post and bar. It hit both junctions of the frame of the goal and ricocheted into the net, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, brilliant moment for him. Really enjoyed it, didn't he? Big celebration.
Someone's got to take more charge, though, in that penalty area when that ball comes in.
It's really disappointing defending. Yeah, they all get attracted to the ball towards the near post, Newcastle. It's really untidy the way that they all go for the same ball together. And the run of the ball goes Forest way, but even so, somebody should have been closer there.
Well, it's another thrilling start to this half, as it was the thrilling start to the first half. It's 1-1 now on Talksport 2. We've got more thrilling football to come over the course of the next few days for you on the Talksport network. Friday night, QPR against Luton at Kenilworth Road, or Luton against QPR at Kenilworth Road, is available on Talksport 2. Saturday lunchtime, Arsenal against Brighton is live on Talksport, 12:30. Faker Others and I will be there alongside the returning Stuart Pearce. He is back this Saturday lunchtime as we bring you full commentary from Arsenal against Brighton, two of the top 4 teams in the Premier League as it stands. Here on the left-hand side, Trippier getting in towards the edge of the box, and the cross is cleared away. And it was actually Barnes who sent the cross in. It comes off the defender, and then Jota Silva then collides with Bruno Guimaraes, and there are 2 yellow cards branded. The first one to Jota Silva, the second one to Bruno Guimaraes, who I think probably has earned that.
He has. Yeah, he's been fouled a few times, Guimaraes, but he's also dished out a little bit of afters to others as well. And on this occasion, it's probably quite a smart foul, because Jota Silva's turned him, and he's got about 30 yards of empty grass to run into, and it's quite a cynical foul really from the Newcastle midfielder. Deserved the yellow card.
Well, I mentioned on a couple of shows that we did during the summer on Premier League All Access about Jota Silva and what he could bring to this Nottingham Forest team. He's a creative player, he's an energetic player, he's a player who likes to score goals as well as create them, and he has certainly displayed that tonight. He is up to speed, he's caused problems for Newcastle this evening, there's no doubt about that. His booking actually came, I think, Adrian, because he turned round to Sam Allison, the referee, and said, you need to book him for that, and did the universal sign for give him a yellow card.
Schoolboy error. Yeah, you know that's a straight yellow, so yeah, he deserves it. But no, he has made an impact. He's looked to get on the ball.
Great ball round the corner, looking for the run of Tonali, and Zach Abbott has dragged him to the floor. That's going to be a yellow card for the youngster.
Yeah, he can have no complaints there. It is a really good early pass. He's just a bit naive there, Zach Abbott. Puts his arm on the striker. And it's a definite foul, and Newcastle get themselves a free kick, and Trippier will be over this one, no doubt. It's a lovely, lovely through ball. It wasn't through on goal, which is why it wasn't classified as a possible red card. It was down the channel.
It was, yeah. It was wider, wasn't it? And he wasn't actually running in towards the goal. He was actually having to chase the ball down the outside of the penalty area, and that came to his rescue. There were also a couple of other defenders in close proximity that might come across on the cover, so that's why it's only a yellow card and not a red for denying of a goal-scoring opportunity. But there is a free kick here for Newcastle to try and craft some sort of opening, and it will be taken by Kieran Trippier, who floats it too close to the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper sort of came and then moved away because he knew it was flying out of play, and it did that. And out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Just put just a little bit too much on that.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst I've ever seen. It had a lovely shape to it, just a little bit too heavy there from Kieran Trippier. It had the goalkeeper in two minds, didn't it, yeah, Carlos Miguel? So, you know, that's the sign that it was a difficult cross to deal with. Just seeing a replay on our monitor of the goal, so many players crowded around the ball, and no one really reacting. So Lewis Hall was the closest, but he's 3 or 4 yards away when Jota strikes it in off the bar. Got to be tighter there.
It's a disappointing goal to concede from a Newcastle supporters and set-up point of view. A very pleasing moment for Jota Silva after his transfer. 15 goals and 7 assists for Victoria Guimaraes last season. Best scoring season of his career. 10 million quid he cost. It's on a 4-year contract. It's a good bit of scouting, actually. Here he is again, helping the ball down to the left channel, looking for the run of Ramon Sosa, who was bundled off the ball, but Jota Silva has picked it up again. He's travelling with it at pace and laying it off into Bolly. And then it's played out towards the far right-hand side and into the path of Eric da Silva Moreira, and he gives it to Jota Silva again, who's being pursued by Joel Linton, shrugged off the ball by Joel Linton. And then Joel Linton gives the ball away on the edge of his own penalty area, then wins it back again, gives it back to Elliot Anderson. Anderson looks for a shooting position, tries to chip the goalkeeper, and almost is. He's just narrowly wide of the right-hand upright as Pope looks at it, floats behind into the Trent end. But it's Nottingham Forest who have got their tails up now.
Yeah, very much so. What a sweet moment that would have been for Elliot Anderson against his former club. He took Joel Linton to the cleaners, really, checked back onto his right foot, created the space, and it's a really nice idea to just dink the ball over Nick Pope, and it had him in two minds, the Newcastle goalkeeper. Relieved to see it drop wide.
Well, certainly you're getting your entertainment tonight on Talksport 2, and we thank you wherever you're listening to us. Thank you for lending us your ears, whether you're in the car driving up and down the country tonight, or listening on your smart speaker, or maybe if you're in the kitchen cooking dinner or having your pudding at this time of night. Thank you very much for choosing Talksport 2. It is Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 1, under the floodlights of the City Ground on the banks of the River Trent in Nottingham, and this historic old stadium hosting yet another epic between these two. Here is Barnes trying to squeeze it through to Joel Linton, 10 yards outside the box. Barnes felt there was a handball there. The referee didn't agree, and Nottingham Forest are able to clear, but Dan Burn comes across, chests it down, drives forward down the right side. He looks up, then waits, then plays it centrally. Joel Linton's got to protect the ball from Jota Silva, who is over-eager. He's got to be a little bit careful, and the free kick is now given to Newcastle United, 5 yards in front of the centre circle.
Yeah, he has got to be careful, Jota Silva. I think the referee's marked his card. He's busy, isn't he? He's not what you'd call a typical modern-day player, is he? He's not tall, he's not athletic-looking, he's not especially rapid, but he's just busy. And he's willing to make things happen, isn't he? And clearly he can finish as well.
Well, he does look like a scruffy Jack Grealish.
That's it, a smaller, scruffier Jack Grealish.
Free kick taken by Bruno Guimaraes. The header goes behind and away for a corner on this near side. And Newcastle United, with nearly an hour gone, will have the chance to try and create from a set piece themselves. And Lewis Hall trots over to the near touchline. Looks like Nottingham Forest are on the verge of making a change here. And Nikola Milenkovic is coming on, and so is Ibrahima Sangare as well. Two players who've actually made a real impact at the beginning of the season. Here is Lewis Hall, deep towards the far post. Carlos Miguel claims that brilliantly. I mean, he is massive, Carlos Miguel, the new goalkeeper that they picked up from Corinthians in the summer for £3.5 million, making his debut tonight. He's got to be 6'6", doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like a basketball player, doesn't he? He is massive. I'll tell you what, he's done great tonight. I know that he conceded after 18 seconds. It wasn't his fault. I think, barring one or two loose passes, I think his decision making has been excellent. And he kept Forest in the game. Remember, in that blistering opening salvo from Newcastle.
I thought I got that wrong. He is 6'8", isn't he? He's the tallest player in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, that had passed me by, I must admit. But
2 metres and 4 centimetres he is. Yeah,
crikey.
I remember now reading that at the beginning of the summer when they first signed him. 6'8". Crikey. If he came up to me and wanted the ball, I'd let him have it. Ball played down the left channel. A 1-0 for Nottingham Forest chasing it. Across comes Dan Burn, who himself is not the smallest. He's 6'7".
Yeah, it's unusual for him not to be the tallest player on the field.
Going to make a change here, and off comes young Zach Abbott. On comes Nikola Milenkovic, who they bought this summer at some cost from Fiorentina, £12 million, 5-year contract. He marked Harry Kane superbly in the Euros, and off goes a new hero, Jota Silva, I think being protected by Nuno Espirito Santo, and on comes Sangare.
Yeah, great ovation around us for Jota Silva, and he deserves it. It was a lovely goal, but also a tremendously industrious performance, kind of playing in behind the main striker, really, Awani. But he was always looking to make something happen, picking up loose balls, being positive, and yeah, he's made a really good, favourable impression.
Well, Milenkovic is now on the field of play. Newcastle want to make a couple of changes, but they're going to take a long throw first of all. Milenkovic came close on a couple of occasions during the game at the weekend against Southampton from set pieces. Well, they are going to make a change now. Off comes Almiron, and on comes Anthony Gordon. Tino Livramento and Longstaff coming on as well. So some of the big hitters are coming on for Newcastle United.
Well, both managers want to win this tie now, don't they? You know, we're into the business end of it.
That's what fans want to see as well, though, isn't it, Adrian? You know, the fact that you get to this stage, the game is there to be won, and both of them are making positive changes in which to try and affect the play.
Why wouldn't you do that? You know, they've given some of them a rest. They've saved their legs to a degree. Now, with the tie level, half an hour left to play, let's go and win it, boys. And I think both managers have just strengthened their lineups as Tonali makes way as well. So.
Well, it's a shame that he's only done an hour tonight because he's played really well, but an hour is probably about right when you've been out for 10 months, so well done to him. Gets a standing ovation from the Newcastle fans, a few boos from the Nottingham Forest ones. Let's be truthful, though. We say that it's why wouldn't you, but managers haven't over the years, have they?
No, it's true. Yeah, it's always baffled me, especially in these kind of scenarios. Good ovation, by the way, for Tonali. Lots of Italian flags in the Magpies' end.
Let's bring you this set piece from Alex Moreno. Another long throw from him in towards the near post. This time better dealt with by Dan Burn and sent straight back out for a second bite of the cherry for Alex Moreno. And he will try and send it short this time to Dominguez, and then Moreno goes down the outside, gets to the byline, produces a cross deep towards the far post. It's over the head of everybody, and Lewis Hall should run that out over on the far side and allow for a Newcastle United throw. Nottingham Forest face Wolves at the weekend. They'll be keen to continue their strong start and add to Wolverhampton Wanderers' travails, although they might be putting those behind them tonight because goals from Gonzalo Guedes have sorted out a home win at home to Burnley. 2-0 the score there. They're into the final few minutes of stoppage time. Gary O'Neill also including Podence tonight, and he seems to have had a positive impact on the play. One or two will be asking why he hasn't been used in recent matches. Here is a kind ricochet for Isaac, who can't help it, out to Anthony Gordon on this right-hand side. It's cleared away, and Tino Livramento steps in, wins it, turns. He's got Gordon outside him, but lots of green grass to run into. Eventually he'll feed Gordon, and the blonde-haired Scouser skips the ball into the box, but it's too heavy. And it goes through the box and out the other side, and away for a throw in the right full-back position for Nottingham Forest.
He's crossed that way too early. He had space there to go at his marker 1v1. We know he's got amazing pace, especially when he knocks it on the outside. He could have got himself to the byline there and produced a much more dangerous cross. He went for the early one. It's ballooned over to the far side. Poor, really, by Anthony Gordon's standards.
Yeah, he has come off the bench. Newcastle United have used their bench well this season. Yesterday, when he was talking, Eddie Howe focused on that, so the depth had made a huge difference against Bournemouth. And that is what you have to do if you want to progress the club. You've got to invest, you've got to improve, you've got to create competition for places, push the club forward.
Of course you have.
Make them entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the attention of the woman in row C who's doing her knitting as she's watching the game. Ever taken your knitting to a football match?
I haven't.
She actually is doing her knitting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw it. It was. No, I've not knitted since school.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. I've let myself down there.
Negligent of you. Ball played forward to Dominguez, then on to Awoniyi. Back to Dominguez, edge of the area. His shot's tame, and from the angle, he drives the ball towards the left of the goal, but it's an easy stop for Nick Pope. 65 gone, 1-1 between Forest and Newcastle, live on Talksport. We knew there'd be goals tonight. There always is when these two play. There haven't been any draws in the last 11 encounters between these teams. Nottingham Forest winning 5, Newcastle victorious in 6. A draw tonight, and it goes to penalties. Here is Moreno, getting towards the edge of the area. He's getting up and into the thick of the action, isn't he, in this second half, Moreno?
I think that's a good pickup. I do, because he didn't do a lot wrong at Aston Villa last season. It's just obviously they've strengthened with Martson coming in there. I think that's a good piece of business from Nottingham Forest. He's Premier League ready, isn't he?
Absolutely, and he played quite a bit of football last year for Aston Villa because of Luca Digne's injury. He then got an injury himself, which was a real problem, and that's why I think he just sort of found himself on the fringes. Lovely cross into the box though from the left-hand side. Moreno, decent delivery, and again there's no one there to finish it off for Nottingham Forest, and that was the tail of the tape at the weekend when they created so many opportunities and didn't take them, and that was a perfect one.
Yeah, there were two red shirts inside the 6-yard box. It just evaded the pair of them. I think it was Awoniyi. With Sangare as well. It is a peach of a ball from Alex Moreno, and that's what he brings to the table. He's got a great left foot. Lovely touch by Gordon. A little flick in towards Longstar. Isaac stretching, didn't quite reach it. Milenkovic did well against him. Hall collides on halfway over on the far side, and it's going to be a booking for Lewis Hall. I'm just trying to see who he crunched into over on that far side. It looks like it's Da Silva Moreira who's gone down. It looked like it was a 50-50 really, but the referee, I think because it seemed to hurt Moreira more, decided to punish Lewis Hall. Let's have a look at the replay and see if that is the case. Oh, he just missed the ball, didn't he? He did miss the ball, but it's an honest 50-50. I think he's a little bit unlucky to get the yellow card there. It's a slightly loose touch from the teenage right wing back for Forest, and it's an excellent piece of pressing from Lewis Hall, but yeah, as he makes the challenge, he kind of accidentally steps over the ball and clatters into his man, and we're just seeing one of those little mini team talks here from Nottingham Forest. Nuno's pulled a group together for a tactical chat. Eddie Howe, interestingly, hasn't done the same thing. Yep, we've still got a quarter of the game to go. Elsewhere tonight, Wolverhampton Wanderers have gone through to round 3. The draw for which, by the way, is straight after we finish. Wimbledon 2, Ipswich 1 could be the big upset of the round. Middlesbrough beaten at home by Stoke 5-0 yesterday. That was quite some tale, but this will be a bigger upset, I think, as Dominguez is replaced by Nico Williams. Oh no, it's going to be
De Silva Moreira is going to be replaced by Nico Williams, who was terrific at Southampton on Saturday, Nico Williams. And the other change is going to see the end of the night for Ramon Sosa, and he's going to be replaced by Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Well, Forest have again strengthened their team, haven't they? They're going to finish this match with some really good informed players on the field. You're right about Nico Williams. I think the accuracy of his crossing in the early weeks of this season has really stood out. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, well, he just loves travelling with the ball at his feet, doesn't he? He'll give Nottingham Forest a new dimension here.
Absolutely. Nottingham Forest, who have got Wolves at the weekend before a trip to Liverpool, a trip to Brighton, Fulham, and then Chelsea away from home. So they'll be hoping to get points on the board this weekend, that's for sure. Next up for Newcastle United, Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday, Wolves away, Fulham away, and then City at home, live on Talksport. Here is Nico Williams down the right side, getting across into the box, into Awoniyi, trying to turn, almost come back for Anderson, it's away by Longstaff, and immediately Nico Williams comes onto the pitch and makes an impact. Joe Linton trying to lead the counter charge, but he's been held up by Dominguez. Brilliant midfield play by Dominguez, and he's come off the better.
Well, they've just grown into this match, haven't they? After that nightmare start, they've got better and better, Nottingham Forest. And that was an instant impact, wasn't it, from Nico Williams? Just drove on the outside, electric pace, and he put the ball into a brilliant area. And I have to say that Kraft and Dan Burn did pretty well to thwart Nottingham Forest there, because that was a terrific delivery.
Wimbledon 2, Ipswich 2. An 87th minute goal to level things up. That could be going to penalties, and this one will be going to penalties as well. In fact, right now, with just a few minutes to go in the 7:45 kickoffs, Wimbledon Ipswich will be a penalty shootout, Cardiff Southampton will be a penalty shootout, West Ham Bournemouth will be a penalty shootout, unless West Ham can get a late winner, and they are on the attack, and so Newcastle stopped by Moreno. Now a chance for Anderson to go forward at the other end. West Ham have scored. They lead by 1-0 in the last 2 minutes of the game at the London Stadium. Here it's 1-1 between Nottingham Forest and Newcastle United. The ball worked out wide to the far side, the Nottingham Forest right. Fed to Nico Williams by Bolly. Into Sangare. Sangare is signed on deadline day from PSV last year. It didn't make much of an impact because of injury and illness, but certainly has made an impact at the start of this season. Lovely little touch into Anderson to Dominguez, and then he's looking for the run of Awoniyi into the left channel, didn't quite reach him, and it's cleared away.
No, they've gone to a 4-2-3-1 now, much more familiar shape for Nottingham Forest.
Bolly's playing right back, isn't he?
I don't know whether that's a good idea.
Is it? Because sometimes when they don't have the ball, it has looked like a 4 at times tonight. Williams will still get back and help out, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I think Williams is going to be as advanced as he possibly can. They might need the pace of Williams up against Anthony Gordon, who's sort of switched to that left side.
Yeah, it's one of those fluid formations, I think, where sometimes it will resemble a 4 and sometimes it will resemble a 3. It looks like Bolly's just been detailed to watch the runs from deep by Joel Linton at this moment in time.
Yeah, interesting approach there. I wouldn't have said that Joel Linton was necessarily worthy of man-to-man attention.
Well, I think Harvey Barnes probably is, and Alex Moreno is taking matters into his own hands, quite literally, because as Barnes weaved his way through a tight gap, Alex Moreno just rugby tackled him to the floor and picks up a yellow card as a result.
Yeah, quite a few yellows, haven't we, in this second half? It's been a really feisty, competitive game, actually. Yeah, two teams that, despite the starting 11s, have set out with the intention of winning it and scoring goals tonight. It's been a really good watch.
Barnes, right side, he's switched flanks with Gordon now. Tries to draw the attentions of Alex Moreno, but he goes on the outside, gets to the byline, stands the cross up to the far post, and Gordon was coming in at that far post, and Nico Williams did brilliantly to get back and flick the ball away. Good defending by the former Liverpool man. Awoniyi has given away a free kick after a tussle with Dan Burn. Again, Newcastle stopped the ball just briefly and then want to get on with proceedings once again. Longstaff plays it to Hall. Bit of room to run into for him. He nudges it left. It's on to Gordon. His wiry frame dips the shoulder, gives it back to Hall. It's a terrible effort. He didn't get any power in it at all. And it dribbles into the middle of the penalty area and it's cleared away by the Nottingham Forest defence. 1-1 the score. 18 minutes to go. Live on Talksport 2. Are we going to get a winner at the end of the game here? The Nottingham Forest fans unhappy because they felt that Awoniyi had given away the foul, needed treatment, and Newcastle played on quickly, and they're still coming forward here. Joel Linton, Longstaff, Isaac out to the right side. It's Harvey Barnes. It's a brilliant saving challenge from Alex Moreno to slide across, block the shot and put it out for a corner.
Take a bow, Alex Moreno. What a tackle on the slide. And what a goal it would have been for Newcastle. That was the Newcastle of the first 15-20 minutes, wasn't it? Pop, 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 in the middle of the park. Beautiful triangles created. The way they manufactured space for the strike was outstanding there.
Lovely corner into the near post by Hall, headed away by Sankare. Out to the near side, it goes out for a throw-in, and Tino Livramento will come across to take it. 17 minutes to go on Talksport 2. 1-1 the score. Newcastle still expected to get their hands on Mark Guehi between now and the end of the window. Nottingham Forest look like they're trying to do a deal for Eintracht Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush. There's a special show on Talksport on Friday night as the deadline closes with Jim White and Alex Crook. You can keep across everything on our website as well. Given away by Barnes, a chance for Hudson-Odoi to open his legs. Barnes is quick at getting back to him, puts him under pressure, does well. Holds him up. Hudson-Odoi has to come back to the halfway line after threatening initially to escape. And Nottingham Forest settled for possession on the halfway line.
Oh, didn't he do well there, Harvey Barnes? That was a long buster of a run. I think he's played pretty well tonight, Harvey Barnes. Yeah. And I tell you what, if he can shine on the right wing in this final 15-20, might put him in the frame, because
they can sell Alma on.
Well, I just think he's unlucky that he's got Gordon.
Yeah.
Because if they can find a way to get both in the team with Isak down the middle, I think that's
pace, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's electric.
Yeah, well, if they can do that, that'd be great. And I'm sure Eddie Howe's thinking about it after what he's seen so far tonight. You know, Gordon does give you the other option of sending him through the middle of the park as well, as he did for the England under-21s in their victorious campaign a year or so ago. Here is Guimaraes picking the ball up and feeding Gordon, who has drifted centrally and then lost control of the ball. It's bounced kindly for Emil Kraft on halfway, just inside the centre circle. And Newcastle come forward again with 15 minutes to go. Scores level at 1 apiece. Here is Gordon. Good ball into Longstaff. Out wider it goes to the right side, and Harvey Barnes. Barnes back to Livramento. Another change incoming. Chris Wood is about to come on for Awoniyi in the next few minutes here on Talksport 2. Again, signalling the intent of Nuno Espirito Santo, who wants to win the game for Nottingham Forest. Newcastle have made a habit of going out early in this competition. They haven't actually gone out at this stage for a couple of seasons or so, but they didn't play in the second round last year because of their Champions League exploits. It's a round they have been eliminated in 4 times, though, since 2017. Southampton have taken a 93rd minute lead against Cardiff, 4-3. Russell Martin will be mightily relieved there's no VAR to chalk that one off.
Yeah, you're right.
Here is Joel Linton in the centre of the Nottingham Forest half. Just a few weary limbs out there now, but Barnes still keeping things moving. Longstaff down towards the byline, back to Barnes. Livramento in the penalty area, right side, tries to jink past Dominguez, doesn't work for him. Bounces into Longstaff. Barnes, Guimaraes, edge of the D. Now they've come centrally. Bruno Guimaraes once again, back to the left, and Hall onto Gordon. They're keeping possession well, Newcastle United. At the moment, Nottingham Forest keeping their shape, and as they try to probe and turn and push the ball into areas and misshape this Nottingham Forest backline. Joel Linton requires his strength to hold off 2 challenges, plays it back into Guimaraes. Anthony Elanga is on the touchline as well. Maybe he will get the instruction to come on instead of Chris Wood, who's been told just momentarily to back off a little bit. Stolen by Livramento as they look to escape. Picked up by Barnes, who's tripped on this near side by Dominguez. That's going to be a free kick on this near side for Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle having a good spell here. The momentum has shifted towards the away side here. Forest had been by far the better team in this second half, but I think since Livramento came on, since Gordon switched to the left, and Longstaff came on in central midfield to sort of renew their energy levels, there's a little bit more about the Magpies now.
4th booking of the night for a Nottingham Forest player, Nicolas Dominguez, who was involved in a swap with Bologna for Remo Freuler a year ago. Goes into the referee's notebook. Here's Gordon left side after the free kick was taken short. Hall, bit of space inside the area, left-footed drive towards the near post. They had the goalkeeper interested, but it was wide of the goal. Dragged it really rather than getting right behind it. And it goes out for a goal kick away to our right, but another warning sign for Forest that the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're knocking on the door, Newcastle United, no doubt about that. Lewis Hall, it's another disappointing moment from him. I think technically tonight, he's had a little bit of a stinker. Whenever he's got into good positions, he hasn't found the right delivery, he hasn't found the right connection on the shot.
Just to point out, technically, as in his technique-wise, that a stinker, not actually a stinker as a technical term.
No. I'm glad you corrected it.
No, just not correcting, clarifying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his technique has been dreadful. Yeah, is what I'm saying.
Cameron Archer's on the score sheet for Southampton, 5-3 now up against Cardiff. Elliot Anderson off to a huge applause from all four sides of the ground. Another impressive display by him.
Yeah, very, very good. But look, they've got a good player coming on the pitch.
There's Anthony Elanga who's come on for him.
Yeah.
Which means Chris Wood actually has sat down again, because by my reckoning they've made their 5 substitutes now.
It's a bit harsh, but look, he's long in the tooth, Chris Wood. He'll take that one on the chin. But look, Elanga's an exciting talent.
Yeah, and he's made a run down the left-hand side. They've got pace to burn now with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga in the team, and Awonyi leading the line. Here is Sankare for Nottingham Forest with 11 minutes to go with 4 penalties. Dominguez to the near touchline, collected by Alex Moreno. Hudson-Odoi goes on the outside, gets to the byline, beats Barnes, produces a cross, but it's an easy catch for Nick Pope, who sticks his arms up into the night sky, grabs it, then bowls it out beautifully to Gordon, and Bolly has to do his very best to hook that out of play over on the far side. Pope knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, there's not many people that can throw the ball half the length of a football field, but Nick Pope can.
Oh, he just dropped it on a 50p coin, didn't he? It was so accurate. But Bolly, who I think has looked pretty sluggish, particularly in the first half, suddenly found a gear change there to keep pace with Anthony Gordon. Great recovery run from him.
Absolutely. Newcastle United, who will have Callum Wilson back from injury just after the international break. He's in the rehab stage, targeting a return to Europe this season. They're not the only ones targeting a return to Europe. The team we feature on Saturday, Brighton, are doing the same. Already through in this competition after victory last night against Crawley. And that game featured what was probably the worst tackle of the week on Matt O'Reilly, which is a real shame for him.
Yeah, it's the last thing you need on your debut, isn't it? You know, reckless challenge that puts you out for what could be a significant length of time. But you know what, good career Matt O'Reilly's had, by the way, with MK Dons and to Celtic. You know, that was a big jump, and then to go from Celtic to Brighton, you know, shows how well he's done north of the border.
Longstaff floating the ball out to the right hand side. Tino Livramento is quick, but he's not that quick. He's overcooked that. Wimbledon 2, Ipswich 2, penalties about to be taken, and Ipswich and Wimbledon locked to the penalty shootout. Be interesting to see who comes out on top in that. Still be a massive upset if Wimbledon knock them out, even if it is on penalty kicks.
Yeah. No, definitely.
This one's heading to penalties as well. We're only 9 minutes away from it. Live on Talksport 2. Throw in to be taken on this near touchline by Omabami Delay. They got from Norwich City a year ago. The only goal that he scored actually was in an FA Cup tie that I did up at Blackpool. A replay last season on a freezing night on the Fylde coast. Ball launched forward, and it's picked up by Anthony Gordon. Sort of bounced off his head, and he couldn't chase it into the penalty area, but Nico Williams put it back to his goalkeeper and clears it up over the halfway line. Who's going to look back on this and see the most positives, do you think, out of the two managers?
Do you know what? I think both will see positives. I think that Nuno Espirito Santo will like the way his team regrouped after a real difficult start where they were sliced open for fun, really. They found a way, didn't they, to negate Newcastle, and I think they'll take great pride in that. I think Eddie Howe will be thrilled with the way his team started. Some of the passages of play have been terrific. I think he'll be frustrated they're not in front, Newcastle. They really should be.
Barnes has got beyond Moreno and into the penalty area, but Omabami Delay was covering and came across and put it out in the way for another corner away to our right-hand side. And Barnes is causing trouble again, as he has done all night for Newcastle down that left, and now on this right-hand side. He's won the corner, which Gordon will take. Livramento made a run to go short as an option, and it was left to Gordon to swing this in. It will be an outswinger, right-footed, from this near touchline. It's a crowded penalty box. Only 3 outfield players on the whole pitch are outside the area, and 2 of those are on the edge. Here is Gordon, deep delivery. Dan Burn with a crunching header, and it's narrowly wide.
Free header. Should hit the target, really. It's a lovely delivery. Deliberately picking out Dan Burn at the far post. He's put some elevation on the ball. Anthony Gordon, and the big man couldn't have wished for a cleaner contact.
Yeah, he's properly got behind it. It had the power, he just misdirected it.
Yeah, he's got plenty of the goal to aim at as well. And it's gone a foot wide in the end. That's a let-off.
Big let-off for Nottingham Forest. 1-1 with 6.5 to go. Live on Talksport 2. And winner goes into the draw for the 3rd round, which is upcoming at the conclusion of this match. Remember, you'll be going to have your say as well on all the night's football on the Sports Bar with the boys, Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara. 0371 722 3344. Here's Gordon after Guimaraes rides the challenge, gets to the edge of the area, feeds Longstaff for Newcastle, middle of the D, sends it wide. Barnes, Livramento joining on the overlap. Livramento goes into the penalty area, gets to the byline, pulls it back. Barnes into the side netting. Well, there was a few Newcastle supporters behind the goal who thought that Harvey Barnes had scored that. He was mightily close, and he will be a little bit disappointed, I think, that he didn't hit the target, Adrian Clark.
Oh, it's delicious play from Livramento. Just nicks it past the defender, gets to the byline, and the cutback is brilliant to Harvey Barnes. And Harvey Barnes has been excellent all evening, but this strike isn't. He sort of slices it into the side netting. It's better than that, Harvey Barnes. Another chance goes to waste for Newcastle United.
He's got to go to the far side of the goal where there's more space. Trying to squeeze it into that near post was never going to happen.
It didn't seem to be on, did it? But there were also a lot of bodies blocking the route to the far post. So I don't mind him trying that. It's just the execution. You've got to hit the target from that range.
Dominguez, near side. And now Hudson-Odoi gets the charge at the Newcastle defence. Barnes wins it back, but almost gives it straight to Elanga. Elanga comes across and wins it for Nottingham Forest in the left corner of the field, attacking the goal away to our left in those cherry red shirts, the Gary Baldy shirts, as they move forward towards the edge of the penalty area. It's collected by Dominguez and then Sangare. 5 minutes to go of normal time plus stoppage time before we get penalty kicks. Hudson-Odoi, right-footed, deep delivery towards the far post. Nico Williams coming in, but Lewis Hall dived across, blocked his path and nudged it behind for a corner.
Yeah, that was good defending from Lewis Hall. It's one of those in-swingers. It's heading out of play, but it's gentle enough to allow Nico Williams time to get there, and he does get there. But unluckily for the Forest man, Lewis Hall just arrived sooner.
1-1, Talksport 2, game on a knife edge. Who's going to take charge? Who's going to take the opportunity that's presented itself tonight? Will it be Forest from this corner? Elanga to take it, far side, right-footed, deep delivery towards the far post, flicked away by Joel Linton. And out on this near side for Hudson-Odoi, who loves to come in on his right foot. Don't let him do it. He clips it into the box, and it's a dangerous delivery. And Pope will gather up.
They do have more threat now with Hudson-Odoi on and Elanga. I think that the debutants, the newcomers here at the City Ground had their moments, but you feel like Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Nico Williams, they might just come up with that moment that Forest need.
Well, the history in this fixture says that there will be a late goal. Remember Rondon, Diaz and Cash. Remember Tyler Walker. There's always late goals when these two play. There's always goals. Here's Guimaraes down the left side. Gordon on the attack for Newcastle, getting to the byline. Needs a bit of support. Lewis Hall provides it. Guimaraes can get this back into the area. He steers it centrally, away by Milinkovic. It comes out as far as Joel Linton, and they look to try and bound forward again, Newcastle United. 1-1 the score, going into the final 2 minutes of the match. Ball collected by Longstaff. Then on to Livramento. Livramento comes forward, and he gets stripped from behind by Sangare. That's going to be a yellow card. We're into fine territory now, aren't we, with 6?
I didn't think there was a lot in that for Sangare. Just thinking about Isak since Milinkovic came on. He's barely had a kick.
Mate, Because do you remember the Euros? What Milinkovic did to Harry Kane? Swallowed him up.
He did, yeah. In the old back pocket. Look, Isak has not had a kick for 20 minutes.
Lovely cross by Barnes into the box, punched away by Carlos Miguel. He has been terrific, hasn't he, since he's come on? You're absolutely right to mention that, Adrian. Adrian, who will be at Arsenal on Saturday, going to be at Arsenal on Saturday.
I will be, yeah, I'll be there. Should be a good game. Yeah, two attack-minded teams. Low I see of Hurstlers Brighton.
Yeah. We're both old enough to be his dad. Which is quite concerning. Here's Livramento out towards the near side. Plays it infield towards Joe Linton. Actually, I'm probably struggling with that. You definitely are.
I was just doing the math there. Yeah, let's not go into it. But yeah, I think you're definitely borderline.
Livramento into Joe Linton. Then across towards Byrne. Byrne to Hall. Hall forward for Newcastle United with 90 seconds to go. Once again, he motors forward. Picked up on the left-hand side. Wimbledon have beaten Ipswich on penalties. Here is Gordon. Gordon trying to funnel it out to the right side, and Hudson-Odoi just hesitated, and Barnes has got it in the right-wing position. Livramento with a cross, deep to the far post. Guimaraes underneath it, comes back to Lewis Hall, strikes it this time. It's pumped away by Carlos Miguel, round the post and out for a corner. That was the moment.
What a debut he's having, Carlos Miguel. So many saves to make. And he's delivered for his team tonight. That was a good effort from Lewis Hall. First real good contact from him all night.
Livramento from the short corner, back in towards Longstaff, who, well, I think he was going for the shot, but he didn't really trouble Carlos Miguel from there.
It's going top corner, that strike, by the way.
I tell you what, if I was a Newcastle player, I'd be trying to get a winner here as well, because the last thing I'd want to do is be stepping up to the penalty spot with that fella standing in front of me.
It's a good point, because if he goes the right side, he's getting to the far corner, isn't he?
Yeah.
At 6'8".
He probably could just stand in the middle of the goal and just stretch his arms out.
I mean, he's not Inspector Gadget. Come on.
I ain't sure about that.
But yeah, no, he's had a good game. And look, Nottingham Forest have struggled with keepers. They've signed so many in recent seasons, so many. And none of them have really been that good.
No, they haven't really been able to replace Brice Samba, have they? Who they had in their promotion season. 5 minutes of added time. Isak back to Gordon. Gordon forward towards Longstaff. Isak was knocked off his feet, but Barnes is continuing to run to the edge of the penalty area. He loses out to Dominguez. He's had a brilliant game, by the way. Another one who's been a real star tonight, Dominguez. They've won it back, Newcastle, and they have had the most of the ball in the last 10 minutes or so. They're forcing the issue here. Isak back to Joel Linton, edge of the area, shrugs off two challenges, continues to run with the ball, shows great strength, then turns back, tries to curl it in towards the goal, but it's too close to the goalkeeper, and it's gobbled up by his compatriot Carlos Miguel, who makes another fine save.
Well, yeah, Forest players just couldn't knock him off the ball. Joe Linton, he's a bit like Morgan Rogers on the weekend. What a performance he put in, by the way. But yeah, that was another effort on target from Newcastle United. They've had so many tonight.
They have, and we welcome listeners to Talksport live to the City Ground in Nottingham on the banks of the River Trent, where it is Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 1, with 4 minutes of the 5 minutes added at the end of the game. Newcastle United taking the lead after just 18 seconds. Joel Willock, who was subsequently substituted because he picked up an injury, scoring the goal in that first half, only for Jota Silva to score an equaliser on his debut, hitting the junction of crossbar and post on the way in. And we have been locked at 1-1 for a while now. Both teams have had opportunities. Certainly Newcastle United have had the best of them over the course of the game. In fact, when you look at the statistics, they've dominated possession. They've had 4 attempts on goal to 4 attempts on target to Nottingham Forest's 3, but certainly in the last little while, Adrian Clark, it has felt that it's Newcastle are putting their foot on the accelerator to try and win the game.
The game has ebbed and flowed. It's been so attack-minded. I've really enjoyed it. Brilliant start from Newcastle. Forest regrouped, and it is Newcastle that are finishing the stronger.
Well, we've got a free kick for Nottingham Forest on this near side. It's about 7 steps in from the left touchline and about 10 yards outside the penalty area. Alex Moreno, who's created the Forest equaliser with a long throw. Will try and drift this in with his left foot. He's put in a couple of decent crosses, and this is another one bending round towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's dealt with by Isaac, who gets it away and steers it out for another throw-in on this near side. But that could spell danger, Adrian, because of the weapon that Moreno possesses.
We have seen some outstanding crosses here at the City Ground tonight. That was another peach from Alex Moreno. Great defending from Alexander Isak, who's been so quiet in this second half. He's having to dig in here, do some defending.
Throw in to be taken by Alex Moreno on this near side. Newcastle went out of this competition on penalties at the quarter-final stage for Chelsea last season. They won't want to repeat that exit. Away by Livramento as it's tossed in towards the near post, collected by Dominguez, and then back to Milinkovic, who's made a big difference since coming on at the heart of the defence. He's huge, broad, strong, and he reads the game so well. Dan Burns allowed the ball to drop once again. This time he's got up ahead of Nico Williams, who was chasing him and putting him under pressure. There was a high ball that was sent forward by Carlos Miguel, and Burn called out the goalkeeper, who didn't come and get it. Burn had to eventually get up higher and nod the ball back towards his goalkeeper. Here is Barnes trying to head the ball down. Guimaraes with a tackle. It rebounds kindly for Joel Linton, who strives forward. Out to Gordon, far side the left. Gets it onto his left foot, drives it towards the near post. And it's another save by the 6'8" goalkeeper, man-mounting Carlos Miguel, who has made a number of saves tonight to keep Nottingham Forest in the game.
He's been so good. Disastrous start, concedes 18 seconds into his Nottingham Forest career, but since then he's been outstanding. This was an awkward one. It just bounces just in front Gordon's shot, could easily have spilled it.
A minute before penalties, West Ham through, Wickham through, Brentford through, Southampton after a ding-dong game through. Wimbledon, shock of the night, beaten Ipswich, Wolves beaten Burnley. And what's going to happen here? We're going to penalties on the Talksport network tonight. Here is Dan Burn picking it up from his goalkeeper on the edge of the 18-yard box. We've got 45 seconds of normal time to play, of added time to play. Gordon out to Guimaraes, left side, back into Lewis Hall, across to Dan Burn, and then Livramento has made a difference since coming off the bench tonight, and certainly carved out one great opportunity for Harvey Barnes, who's also had a really good game for Newcastle United. In it goes to Isak. Isak round the corner, tries to steer it into Gordon. It was blocked by Milinkovic again. Out wide to Hall. It's blocked by Bolly this time, who's had to revert to almost like a right-back position in the second half. Floated in by Hall again. Away by Omabami Delay. Wasn't a great clearance. Comes back to Longstaff. Longstaff trying to keep it alive. He does. He jinks his way out to the right side. Feeds Barnes. Low ball into the box. He's blocked. Comes back out to Tino Livramento. There's the full-time whistle. And Nottingham Forest, who just about survived to take it to penalty kicks, which are upcoming. A goal for Newcastle United inside 18 seconds. They didn't build on that despite a couple of chances. A lot of change in personnel and in formation tonight for Nottingham Forest, which meant they were misshapen for that first goal. But they thought they were back into the game. Jota Silva with a strike on his debut to level things up. And they couldn't force a win, and Nottingham Forest or Newcastle, as the game closed out. So we will decide who goes round to the next part of this competition from the spot in the next few minutes. 1-1 on the night.
And penalties to come, and we're going to have them live on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. You'll have to wait for the Sports Bar, featuring Jamie O'Hara, who actually features in the Wolverhampton Wanderers Museum. I'm sure he wants to tell you all about it a little bit later on. Let me quickly run through what's happened tonight. Carabao Cup second round. Wolves beat Burnley 2-0. Gonzalo Guedes with both goals. He may be on his way out of the club, though. Wimbledon 2, Ipswich 2. Ipswich needed a late equaliser. Wimbledon winning 4-2 on penalties. Cardiff 3, Southampton 5. Was ridiculous. Colchester 0, Brentford 1. Colchester missing a pen towards the end, and Brentford goal was very controversial. Swansea 0, Wickham 1. That's League One winning away to Championship Swansea. West Ham beat Bournemouth 1-0 with a goal that probably should have been disallowed from Jarrod Bowen. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. We're heading for penalties, Adrian Clark, but it didn't look that way after 18 seconds when Joe Willock scored, and Nottingham Forest were an absolute shambles. An incredible start to the game tonight.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, Newcastle United were blistering for 20 minutes. I'm not quite sure how Forest kept the score down. Well, I am sure, actually, it's the goalkeeper. Carlos Miguel made 2 or 3 superb saves to keep his side in the tie. And then Newcastle, perhaps understandably, ran out of puff a little bit. Forest got themselves back into the game, got an equaliser, and then, you know, in the second half it could have gone either way. I think Newcastle, on the balance of play, have been the stronger team. But yeah, that start to the match was sensational from the Magpies, and Tonali, Adrian, was really, really good in that first 30 minutes or so. He was everywhere. I think Sam said on commentary, it's like he'd just been given a sort of fresh battery, having been out for so long, and it was like that. He was everywhere, and he showed really what Newcastle have been missing.
Well, I was going to ask you about him. I mean, he was motivated, let's say, motivated to do very well tonight. He must have been so fired up once that first whistle went, and that showed in the performance.
It really did, yeah, and he got himself into the box 3 or 4 times in that opening 20 minutes or so, and could have had himself a goal. Alexander Isak put him away. It was a 1v1, and he didn't do a lot wrong. It was an unreal save from Carlos Miguel, who sort of did the splits, used his left leg to deny Tonali what would have been, you know, a really satisfying goal for him on his return to the team. So look, he came off on the hour. I think he can feel proud of his performance, and the ovation that he got from the packed end, by the way, of Newcastle fans. They've turned out in force tonight. They really did like what they saw from him.
Nottingham Forest, though, rallied, got the equaliser. Jota Silva, if you've got a bit of Diogo Jota and a bit of Bernardo Silva, you're going to be okay, aren't you? He got the equaliser for Nottingham Forest. Would you say they deserved that?
Just about, yeah. They regrouped and they got themselves back in the game. Yeah, he's a sort of mini Jack Grealish, this Jota Silva. It was a lovely finish actually from a long throw. He sort of lashed it in off the crossbar. It was good play from him. But yeah, both teams brought the big guns on in the second half. So they got stronger the longer the match went on in terms of personnel. They both really tried to win it, but it's penalties that's going to decide matters.
Indeed, and there were lots of efforts on goal. This was an open game. 1-1 was probably not enough goals given the amount of efforts on goal.
No. It probably should have finished 3-1 Newcastle, something like that. I think that would have been a fair scoreline. We've had 26 shots. We've had 10 on target. Honestly, it's been really entertaining, and I think we're in for some more fun and games now.
Yeah, listen, this idea, Dean Ashton came up with it. After 90 minutes, you go straight to penalties. It's been brilliant for the Carabao Cup, hasn't it?
Dean Ashton invented this, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He came up with it a few years ago. We all scoffed at him, and then they took it on as a rule.
Okay.
And it's working.
Fair play.
Did they pay him for it? Probably not, no. He's kind enough to give football after football gave to him so much. But you wouldn't want extra time right now. Wimbledon didn't want extra time tonight, Adrian.
No, it's perfect. No, we don't need it. Extra time is so boring so often, isn't it? I'm all for let's go straight to pens, and look, we're in for some entertainment. The first Forest player is about to step up.
I'll leave it in the capable hands of your commentator, Sam Matterface.
Yeah, we have our first member of the Nottingham Forest team to be brave enough to take a spot kick, and it's going to be Callum Hudson-Odoi away to our left-hand side in front of the Trent end, the Nottingham Forest end, to face Nick Pope in the Newcastle United goal. I mentioned earlier that Nottingham Forest and Newcastle have played at this round a couple of times before, and Nottingham Forest won in 2017 and 18. They're looking to make it a quick-fire hat-trick. Hudson-Odoi steps up, right-footed, into the far left corner, stretching his arms out to try and reach it. He went the right way, Nick Pope, but it was too powerful, and they lead on the shootout by 1-0.
Very calm from Callum Hudson-Odoi. It was kind of in the corner. It wasn't in the side netting. He just put a little bit of elevation on the ball, and that maybe deceived Nick Pope, who was probably expecting it to go along the deck.
Alexander Isak steps up for Newcastle United. He's their first penalty taker. He's scored 8 out of 9 penalties for Newcastle United, and he is the first to try and get beyond the 6'8" Brazilian goalkeeper for Nottingham Forest. Carlos Miguel has had such a good debut. Isak curves his run, steps up and fires it down the middle, straight past Miguel. It's 1-1.
Yeah, he waited for the big man to commit himself there. Very delayed run up, and he just dinks it down the middle. He sees the goalkeeper dive to his right and just adjusts it enough.
Ipswich fans might want to call the sports bar. It will follow as soon as we finish these penalty kicks. 03717 223344 Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy waiting to take your calls if you're on your way home from a game tonight. We'd love to hear from you. Nikola Milenkovic, the summer signing at centre-half for Nottingham Forest, is going to take the second penalty. The big serve, places the ball down in front of the Trent end. He steps back towards the edge of the 18-yard box, hand on his hips, and then curves his run up right-footed and sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. A deft touch for such a brutish player. And Pope goes to his right, the ball goes to his left, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, Milenkovic was great when he came on in the second half. It was a real rookie defence, wasn't it, at the start of this evening's game for Forest? But he really stabilised them and took Isak out of the game. I was impressed with him in the game, and that penalty too. Little skip, wasn't there, just before he struck the ball, and that deceived the goalkeeper.
Joel Linton, who was terrific tonight, scored Newcastle's first goal of the season in the game against Southampton, places the ball down, Brazilian against Brazilian. Again, Carlos Miguel reaches up, his hands go above the crossbar when he does that. Makes himself an imposing figure, he stretches out, Joel Linton runs up, cracks the ball, it's a brilliant save down to his right by Miguel, who dives away and then celebrates in front of the Trent end, and it's advantage Nottingham Forest in the shootout, 2-1 after 2 kicks each.
Magnificent save from Carlos Miguel. There's not a lot wrong with that penalty. It's in the corner, but those long levers, he's got such long arms and he stretches them out to brilliant effect.
He has got the wingspan of a 747, that fella. Nick Pope now has to deny Nico Williams, who's placed the ball down to take the third penalty for Nottingham Forest. He breathes in, puffs out his chest, right-footed into the far corner. And although he stretched as much as he could, Nick Pope, he couldn't reach it. And it's 3-1 Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, he was so casual, wasn't he? Nico Williams, another that came off the bench and played ever so well. Just kind of dinks it. It's mid-range, so some people might say it's a good height for a goalkeeper, but it deceived Nick Pope, and it's real advantage Forest now, isn't it? 3-1.
Yep. And it's another Brazilian on Brazilian action with Bruno Guimaraes about to take on Carlos Miguel, who again just reaches up to display his long limbs, his arms that go above the crossbar, then bounces as Guimaraes steps up, then stutters, then stops, and then sends it into the far corner brilliantly. I mean, that is, again, and what you would call a nice height for a goalkeeper, but so accurate that it was unreachable even for the guy with the wingspan of a jumbo jet.
Yeah, it's just precision, wasn't it, from Bruno Guimaraes? Right in the corner, and it needed to be, because he guessed correctly, didn't he, Carlos Miguel? Honestly, when he puts his hands above the crossbar, that must be so intimidating, because he's not even straightening his arms. It's scary.
Problem that both you and I would have if we were in the goal there, yeah, sort of. No. If we were standing on each other's shoulders, maybe. Here is Sangare to take the fourth penalty for Nottingham Forest and put them into a commanding position and force Newcastle to score the next one. Sangare steps up and hits the crossbar. Oh dear. Well, he went for power. Nick Pope went the wrong way, but he's cracked it straight against the frame of the goal. And now momentum might shift.
That was loose, wasn't it, from Sangare? Very relaxed, chilled out run up, but the execution was sloppy. Hits the bar, way too much height on the ball. Yeah, I mean, he flummoxed the goalkeeper, he went the complete opposite direction, but yeah, it was poor, that.
This required for parity from Anthony Gordon, who has his process, reads his leadership and performance books. He will delve into top performance podcasts and literature, He knows his mindset, he can control his mindset. Can he control this penalty? He needs to. This for 3-3. Gordon places the ball down, takes 4 steps back, looks up, right-footed, drills it into the corner after sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. It's 3-3, and you just wonder whether or not now Newcastle might take control.
Composure from Anthony Gordon. I liked what I saw there. You described it perfectly. He was in the moment. He was following a routine, a little bit like a rugby kicker might do ahead of a big penalty. That was probably the best pen of the lot.
And now the pressure goes on the shoulders of Taiwo Awoniyi. Nick Pope dries his hands on a black towel, then tosses that behind the goal. We're into sudden death territory now. 3-3 the score. This is the 5th penalty. Now the nerves jangle. It takes an iron will to get through this sort of tension. Awoniyi gets back to the edge of the penalty and steps out and then spoons it right over the bar. It's an absolutely dreadful penalty from Taiwo Awoniyi. It's so high, so wide, it may well be bobbing down the Trent. And now Dan Burn has the chance to win it for Newcastle United. Nuno Espirito Santo can't believe what he's seen.
It's horrible. Terrible, terrible effort from Awoniyi. It's almost reached the upper tier. It's one of the worst penalties I've ever seen.
Actually, it's going to be Sean Longstaff who takes over the duties from Dan Burn. He's tossed the ball by Burn, and now Longstaff to win it. Steps up, right-footed, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, and Longstaff wins the tie for Newcastle United and sends them into round 3 of the Carabao Cup on penalties. They've made a habit of going out of this competition to Nottingham Forest, but not tonight. 2017 they lost here, 2018 they lost against Nottingham Forest, 2023 they reached the 3rd round thanks to a penalty shootout victory after a 1-1 draw on the night. It's another morale-boosting victory on penalties for Eddie Howe and his team. The Toon have travelled well tonight and they've been rewarded with victory. A really poor penalty from Taiwo Awoniyi proved to be the turning point. Maybe actually it was the crossbar smacking from Sangare which did that, but certainly Awoniyi's penalty didn't help. Real composure from Gordon. Brilliant final penalty from Longstaff, and it's Newcastle who go through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. 1-1 on the night, Newcastle victorious on penalties.
Wow, and Adrian Clark taught me through that Awoniyi penalty, because you said in commentary just then one of the worst you've ever seen. Just describe again how shockingly bad that penalty was.
Yeah, well, it's quite a lackadaisical run-up, but then he just skies it. I would say almost twice as high as the crossbar. Wow. That's the distance over the bar it went. It was miles over. It was nowhere. It was just not close. It was really, really awful. It was heading towards the upper tier at the Trent end. It was astonishingly bad. And look, he wanted the ground to swallow him up. He was inconsolable, wasn't he?
It's one of those moments, but I said it, it's probably going to be bobbing down the Trent. It wasn't that far away, It was that bad, Adrian. He was looking at the ball the whole time when he took the kick. He wasn't eyeballing the goalkeeper, and he's completely blind. I mean, so high and so wide of the goal that you can see him now. He's got his head in his shirt's pulled up over his head. He's distraught because he knows that was the key moment in the shootout.
Extraordinary. And Adrian Clark, he's a striker. He knows where the goal is. He's actually quite a good finisher. Yeah. How do you even begin to explain it?
Yeah, I don't know. Pressure can do funny things to players. It's not a technique thing, is it? He just crumbled in the key moment. He was probably very tired. Awoniyi probably might not have expected to last the 90 minutes. Hasn't had a lot of football. He's been in and out with injuries for so long now. He was probably knackered. But that's no excuse for such a poor penalty. And Yeah, it's tough luck on Nottingham Forest, but I have to say, I think just about the right team has gone through. They took it a little bit more seriously with their starting 11 here tonight, Newcastle United, and they were the team that played the sharper, more penetrating football. They had flashes of brilliance this evening here at the City Ground, and I do think that they warrant a place in the hat for the next round.
Adrian Clark, Sam Matchface, thank you very much. The Sports Bar is up and coming. Penalties, the story tonight. League 2 Wimbledon knocked out Premier League Ipswich when on loan keeper Owen Goodman saved 2 Town spot kicks. And you just heard it, Newcastle scored after 18 seconds at Forest, but it finished 1-1 after 90. Taiwo Awoniyi took one of the most shockingly, ridiculously bad penalties you will ever see, and it was left to local hero Sean Longstaff to win it for Newcastle, who go through. Sports Bar with the draw for the third round coming up next on Talksport. 03717 223344.